Games on the radio. Shut up. It's Gaming Podcast Stadia.
Welcome to the Big Week in Gaming podcast. And what do you know? It's been a big week in gaming. I'm Intergot for episode 30 on Sunday, the 6th of February 2021. As always, I'm joined by the number one contender for the greatest Xbox RPG player in the world and official Hall of Famer, Swinny.
Hello, and I'll just apologise that I think it's the 7th of
Pretty sure
February.
it's the 7th, yeah. I was going to say the same thing.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
You've done me, Swinny.
Yo!
I was waiting for
Whose
the correction
team are
about
you
the Hall
on?
of Famer. And the meme maker, interrupter-in-chief, comment generator,
Hey.
collector of unopened collector editions, Mike.
Yeah, one comment. Okay, just one comment for now. But I'm hoping to grow. I had to take off the thing of my wall of shame. No one can see it yet, but because it kind of screwed a bit of the wall up when I did that.
I was
But
hoping
anyway.
you'd keep it up and collect more comments.
No, I will absolutely do it, but I got to do it properly. And I also need to lose some weight because I think I cracked the table when I went on it. And I actually also injured my leg. There's like a little carpet burn thing. I don't have carpet, it's just on the floor. But it was worth it.
We got to commit to the bit. In this week's show, we'll be discussing Stadia shutting down first party with game development, BioWare dropping some massive Mass Effect news, and we choose our top 6 nominees for Game of some other year.
Oh, shit, top 6. I did top 8.
No,
Just
so
gotta make some edits.
that's correct. So because
Okay.
Swinny likes to be complicated, we're doing our personal top 8 in no order, and then we are whittling it down to 6 as a unified bigwig group.
No,
That makes
there's
mathematical sense.
It's not about being complicated. You'll see when we get to discussion. There's a reason that I think it's a good idea to have it broaden that, but we'll get
okay.
there.
I have a gut feel as well as to why you're saying that. I have a gut feel.
So one thing is, well done for getting that massive Mass Effect bit right, because and you skipped it. I made it even more difficult in the run sheet. I said some massive new Mass Effect news, and I'm like, how is he going to tackle this? Is he going to do
He
it?
did it.
No, but he just did it differently. He just did it his own way.
He is Bob
Did it
Law.
my way.
He's got the lob log.
So, Mike, how are you going in your quest this year of buying less games? Obviously, you
Good.
wouldn't have bought any games
Well-
this week. And
Well,
playing less games.
I did. As far as my girlfriend's concerned, I didn't. As far as the rest of the world is concerned, I may have bought one. So that was the collector's edition of Soul Calibur.
You couldn't even remember when the
God,
game
I
was.
hope she did not hear that.
Which version of Soul Calibur?
Yeah, what number?
5? 6? I don't know.
I love it.
The one that's got the one that's got yeah, you guys know how much I play fighting games. The one
That's
that's
so
got
funny.
the one that's got Jerry from The Witcher on it.
So why would
That
you
one.
buy it if you don't know what it is?
Well, no, because I played them in the past and I actually enjoyed those games, and because it was $29, so I
Okay.
figured, that's not bad.
I thought it was on Game
And then
Pass.
of course, yeah, well, it
It is
turns
on-
out it
it
is
is
on
on
Game
Game
Pass, so I probably should have checked that first. So yeah, I got that. But other than that, I don't think I bought anything new. I did start and finish Shadow Complex. Initially, I
such a good
started
game.
it. I know, it's fantastic. I love it. Initially, I started it on the 360 version because I'm like, I don't want to spend another $20, just for an extra 30 FPS. But then I tried it on PC where I had a copy from ages ago, and I'm like, oh, this is really good. And then I'm like, I just want to chill in bed and play it. So then I had to spend another $20 and just buy it again for the 4th time or whatever that is now. And then I just played through the whole thing from
So
start to
you
finish.
missed out because they gave that as a free upgrade to people for a while when they released it.
Oh, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
damn it.
And I missed out.
Why
You
would
know
I do
how
that? That's fine.
I have an obsession about getting all the Epic Game Store games, the freebies.
Mhm.
I literally only have one that I'm missing, and it was the
that's
very
fine.
first one that they gave away, which was Shadow Complex Remastered.
Oh.
Maybe that's why it made me obsessed. It's not on the Switch, right?
No, see that it would be perfect for the Switch.
So
It'd be
I'd
such an
buy
awesome game
it.
for
I'd
the
buy
Switch.
it if it was on
Yeah.
the Switch.
Oh, I'd buy it again. I'll play through it again. It's weird. Like I mean, not that once you play it, it's not like there's different ways you can approach things. maybe there's certain places you could try to shortcut stuff.
Yeah, you can.
But it's not really like, it's not the kind of game that is so vastly different the second time. But I'd still play it again just because it's so good. And the other thing that I started playing was Disco Elysium, which
On
is
what?
on PC.
Okay.
Is it out on? I know we talked about this, and I should know, but is it out on PS5 yet? It's not out yet.
It's coming out on consoles.
No,
but it's
so-
not, I thought it was on the Switch for some reason, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, they were talking about, I think, getting it on there as well, but I don't
okay.
think it's on the Switch out
No,
yet.
so the new version, Director's Cut, is coming out on all the consoles and Switch, and has additional content, voice acting, etc., etc.
See, that would be, it'd be once again one of those games that would be awesome on the Switch. It'll just be perfect for the Switch, I think, as well.
I'm
but
just
it also
surprised you
feels
just
like
didn't wait
it's-
for that. That's all.
No, well, no, but I read a little bit about it. I didn't read anything to spoil the story and stuff like that, but I read that you can replay it again using different attributes, and it's worth the experience of seeing the different options and repercussions and stuff with a different type of character.
It's
So
coming
I'm
out
not-
next month. It's coming out next month, and you'll get
Sweet.
you get
I
the
would
free upgrade
absolutely
on
get
PC.
on the Switch.
Well, you'll get a free upgrade on the
Nice.
PC as well.
Maybe I should just wait then until the free upgrade. I don't think it'll fix it. So I had a couple of small issues with it. It froze once. You could still kind of like walk around for a bit, but all the menus were gone. I couldn't even press escape. Nothing worked.
Oh,
So there's like some little glitches like that, which
PC.
isn't a huge issue, but that's PC for you. But yeah, looking forward to really playing through that. So far, it's been really cool.
how about you?
What
Sweeney?
about you guys?
So I had planned on playing a new release this week, but unfortunately couldn't get my hands on it yet, which was Werewolf the Apocalypse
Oh
Earthblood.
yeah.
So if anyone doesn't know, Werewolf the Apocalypse is based on a tabletop series. So it's from the early 90s, there was a group of tabletop games that encompass what's called the World of Darkness, and Vampire the Masquerade is one of the other ones. So that's why you see, if anyone doesn't know, that's why you see so many different Vampire the Masquerade games. It's similar to Warhammer in a way where it's a tabletop franchise that then is licensed out to different developers.
Is it made by the same people that made what's it called? Twilight and New Moon?
Wait,
Different developers?
Twilight and New Moon?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's such a bad joke. Bad jokes and all it is.
It's such a bad
Anyway.
joke, and you can't see his face as well.
No, it's such a bad joke that I didn't even. I'm trying to understand. I'm
But
like,
you're
that
like,
can't,
it can't be a joke.
That,
so
that can't be a
mean?
joke because that's so bad.
it's like turned full
Oh, really?
circle.
Really?
It's gotta
I
be
can't
real.
make bad jokes. Come on, I'm the master of shitty jokes.
Anyway,
Hey, the
so
joke last week was pretty good, falling off the table. That was funny.
now
Okay.
I could get it digitally, but because this is a European-made action RPG, I'm like, look, I actually like to
Eurojank.
get those. Yeah, definitely. Cyanide, who's the developer, they have made some decent Eurojank. They actually made the Game of Thrones RPG game as well, which a lot of people didn't like, but I quite liked.
Wait, the game is as in the.
Who would have guessed that Swinny the Contrarian liked it when everyone else disliked it?
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, but also I'm into RPGs, so I have my
No one
bar
else
of-
is.
Play anything. it's gotta...
No, but like we're talking about. I'm able to look past a lot of technical limitations and flaws in RPGs because I like the core gameplay a lot more than I think people that are just looking for Game of Thrones. Hey, I can just jump in because it was a pretty budget title. So, but I actually quite liked it. It was its own thing. So I ended up just pre-ordering that. Ordering it from overseas because it wasn't
Nice.
released.
How much was
physically in
it?
Australia.
Was
like
it
$60?
XC?
It was like
That's
$60.
alright.
So
Kind of price
Delivered.
off.
That's not too bad.
off Oz Game Shop. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, and I completed another 3 RPGs this week as well. Chemco ones. So finished off Dragon Lapis, the one that I was playing last week. That was just absolute crap. I hate that game. Played through one called Ruinverse, which is an EXE Create game, which is actually not bad. It builds on a lot of the previous EXE Create games, and actually has skill trees for the first time in any of their games. So that was it was cool to see them actually like add more to it. But also those games, I'm kind of just like, I just want to like breeze through them. So the fact that I have to like spend some time on it was a bit like, anyway. But the RPG that actually I want to mention the most was a game that I'm just finished today, actually, called Crystal Author. So that was that's developed by Hitpoint, published by Chemco, and it's actually, I'm a fan of Hitpoint's games. They actually put a lot of effort into them. So they made Monster Viator, which I really liked that I played last year. And it's just a really, really cool little RPG with some neat stuff in it.
Can I make a quick shout out? What did you call that? Crystal Author?
So
What's
it's
it called?
Author, but it's like ORTHA.
Ah, Crystal Author. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout out to Roy, one of our avid listeners, whose wife recently started getting into healing crystals. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention, I need to get away
It's
from
healing
that.
crystals.
Is healing crystals. No, so I actually I started a new game of Dark Souls again.
Oh my god.
Of course you did. Probably already
And-
finished it.
So I had the idea maybe I'll actually try to finish it before the podcast again. But then I got a bit into it and I'm like, what am I doing? Because
It's like the 20th
I've already
time.
got all these other games I really need to play. So what I decided to do instead was
What am I doing having fun playing a game I actually enjoy
Yeah,
playing?
exactly. I want to play
when I
these.
have this backlog of games I need to play for work.
It's like these Chemco games that I hate. How dare they make me play the game with their
Hey,
skill tree
hey.
innovations?
I liked 2 of the 3 that I mentioned, so I don't hate them all. But Dragon Lapis can go
You're
either.
like that arrogant like runner. I'm just starting to learn to run, play a bit of Dark Souls, and you're like this marathon runner. And you hear that I'm running a bit. Okay, I got to run the same track as you and run around it 3 times before I've even gotten halfway.
So
exactly what he just did.
what I decided to do with Dark Souls, and I think I have done this in the past, but I said I wanted to get myself a max plus 15 weapon as soon as I can. Like basically almost speed run a
spoiler
goal
alert.
of getting a
Spoiler
max
alert.
weapon. If you did consider that
That's
a
fine.
spoiler, then you
No,
need
no,
to
it's
just...
I'm staring.
Yeah, well,
So I ended up getting one maxed out before ringing any of the bells. So that was pretty cool. So
you got one maxed out before Inter got even, created his character, I reckon, in the character creator.
But it's who knows? Maybe I'll start another playthrough again this week and do something different.
Of course you will.
Well,
You always go to your decks though. You just love the decks. Every playthrough, just decks.
My last full playthrough was a sorcery playthrough, so meh.
Well, that was an outlier. Before that, it was all about the decks.
It is all about the decks. I can't lie.
So as you guys know, I was pretty sick last week. You know when you're really sick, when you can't do your hobbies. So I wasn't playing any games at all. For like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. I was in bed and everything like that. But I felt a bit better this week. And I went back to Dark Souls. So now I'm up to Blighttown. But I haven't done much since then.
Nice.
Randomly, I also, because I had to get my PS3 working, I got this like really crazy HDMI switch, but it's actually really cool. I'm really happy with it. So I actually booted up Demon's Souls again. And it's really weird playing it again now that I've played a bunch of Dark Souls. Because I'm just like plowing through all the enemies. Whereas before it was like
Nice.
these, dramatic battles with like, one
The first
hollow.
enemy.
Yeah. And now it's just like, "Ooh, kill this, move on. So,
Yeah.
and I think that game, the starting classes make a lot of difference. Like if you go royalty, you just smash people. But before I go on, I want to call someone out. I want to call out a terrible recommendation.
What?
I want to call out Swinny for the nomination for terrible recommendation for the Sudoku game last week.
Oh.
What?
Sudoku?
Yeah, so
Sudoku?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
What? All right. I'm keen to hear
we-
this.
we-
I play
we-
that game every day.
we have a very good segment, my favorite segment, you may say, the bargain bin, where we, analyze the market. We run machine learning algorithms to pick the best games to recommend you find folk. And
Sophisticated neural
Swinny,
networks on that.
Swinny recommended, what was it, Sudoku Relax 4, something like that?
Sudoku.
Winter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Anyway, so you recommended that. I got that game. I like to play these games. I like to play chess, and it's like, you play chess. I want to play Picross. I play Picross. I don't want Picross to tell me what moves I should make or give me hints or give me all the insights into the board. Or if I was playing chess, I don't want it to be like, this move is an 80% correct move, right? With the Sudoku game, or like
Sudoku.
whatever tile you're on, it actually tells you, here are all the other tiles, here are all the other numbers on the board that I've already taken. You know how like Sudoku works.
Sudoku.
And-
you can't turn that off?
No.
Hmm.
So to me, it totally ruins the game. It's like, this is the easiest, like, ridiculous... It's like not even the same game.
It's in the title. Sudoku Relax. It's a chill Sudoku game.
I do get relaxed playing Sudoku.
It's paint by numbers, Sudoku.
Yes.
It's paint by numbers.
That's
Yeah,
what I said. It's paint by
exactly.
numbers.
So it's just a chill. It's just a chill. That's what I said. It's got lots of quality of life stuff. That's exactly what.
But
I
that's
said.
not quality of life when it does the job for you. It's like not playing the same game.
That probably is the definition.
It was
of quality of life if you
$1.50.
get things to do your job
It was
for you.
$1.50. I'm sure you can move on with your life if you didn't like this.
I think it was $1.40, but I'm very... I expect my payment in the mail, Swinny.
All right, I'll give it.
Beam it through.
I'll,
Hey, on that note, actually...
I'll put the $1.40 in between my knuckles and deliver it to you next time.
Hey, on that note, I was about to buy that game, and then the game next to that game was an animated puzzle game, a pixelated animated puzzle game set in Japan, whose name I do not remember, which was also like $1 something, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I had that one.
Two of the puzzles, and it's you can. There's different difficulties.
Is there a
which
name?
changes the puzzle
Is there
pieces.
a name for the game?
I know because I don't have my Switch with me. But look
Soul
it up.
Calibur
It's
5.
Soul Calibur.
By the
12.
way, I didn't want to say it, but you're talking about Soul Calibur 6. I don't want to cut this
6.
correction next week.
No, I think it was 6 actually.
Of course it was 6.
The one I told you, it's the one that's got Jerry, the dude from the Witcherer.
Jerry Seinfeld,
Yeah.
The Witcher.
That's the one. It's got him in it on the cover and stuff.
So I also went back to Astro, and I don't like because there's a really cool speedrunning end game to Astro. So I just boot that up every now and then, play a few of those. I think I'm in the top 10,000 now or something like that. It's really actually pretty addictive because I keep on trying each one. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try to shave off more time and get higher and higher in the leaderboard. The other big game that I've been playing this week is Axiom Verge on the Switch. That's very cool.
Well, what do you think of that? Yeah, I think I need to play it again now that I played through Metroid Prime, because I played that and I got relatively
Super Metroid
Prime into it. Super Metroid, sorry. I'm really bad with names.
It's good that you know the gaming podcast.
Yeah, thank God. So, yeah, I played that a while back, and I think must have been more than halfway through, surely, because I think I unlocked quite a lot of the abilities. And then I just got stuck for a bit, and I put it down, and it didn't click like Metroid did.
Oh, it's like Super Metroid. Like that's my favorite game of all time. So that's a high bar. So far, I'm probably about a quarter to a third the way through. It's better than Metroid, the NES game, and it's very much inspired by it. I don't know. It feels like a solid 8, 9 at this stage.
Yeah, but it's a solid game.
Could add more to it, and I could like it even more. The other one I should call out. I'll call out myself. So Ring Fit. I said that I was going to play that every day, but because I was so sick, I actually tried to play it when I was really sick, and that probably wasn't a really good idea because I
just vomit.
No, I just felt really terrible after it. So I did pause it for a little bit, but I've picked it up again. So I'll just have to give myself a
You do sound better though. We're glad to have you back.
And then just a few games for this show. So I won't mention them, but I'll mention them at the time. So there's a few games that are topical this week that I've played, including booting some stuff up for Game of Some Other Year 2011, which I'm actually a bit nervous to see where we'll land on that. So, but I think let's get into our first story today.
Wait, before we go into the first story, can you tell us again the game that you played on the Switch that you bought for $1.40?
Sudoku. Relax.
Sudoku. Okay, let's move on now.
Okay, that was very important. Google Stadia. So Google's struggling streaming service Stadia is shutting down its internal game development studios. Google will close 2 of the Stadia games and entertainment studios located in LA and Montreal, Canada, and it is impacting 250 employees. Head of the game development studio, Jade Raymond, will also be departing in this move. Now, how's this shaping up? Do we feel like Stadia is going to survive and has legs beyond this year?
This is not a good sign. Now, I don't know if it was ever a good idea to do internal development in general, but this is not a good sign. Now, I think obviously they're not going to put a negative spin on this. They're like, oh, Stadia's still fine. Stadia is not fine. Stadia is not going to be around within the next, I think, 18 months. I think at some point they will rebrand it, and I think they're already doing this. They're just essentially, I think they're just going to try to offer the tech to other businesses as say, hey, you can use our streaming tech, kind of thing, and not essentially sell their own service. That's my thought of it, the way they'll go, because the tech works, by all accounts. I haven't tried it myself. I don't know when it was meant to launch in Australia. I think they announced that recently, didn't they?
No.
They didn't? Oh, was I thinking something? Was I thinking Amazon Luna or something?
Maybe Xbox?
I thought Stadia, they had announced that they were expanding to Australia.
No, they've never said anything about going to Australia. I checked the other day as well.
Okay.
Because I would be keen to try it. I'd be keen to try it, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to... They're probably never going to make it to Australia at this rate.
Well, yeah, in that case, then no. It's just like, by all accounts, it worked really well. And apparently, Cyberpunk, like a lot of people saying that's actually a really good place to play it if you don't have a high-end PC. It's gone really well for them. So that's almost like one of the mini success stories in recent times for Stadia is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and they promote that. Like as part of this release, Phil Harrison, the guy who heads up Stadia for Google, actually said, the response that people had to Cyberpunk on Stadia, and for that to be clearly better than the console version, like unanimously people saying it's better than the console version. And I'm talking about PS5 and Xbox Series X. They want to head down that direction. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Swinny, that this is a terrible sign. Google, when they launched Stadia, the first thing that people said is, Google has a terrible track record of starting things with a big bang, putting a lot of money in, and if it doesn't click, they just turn it off. Maybe that's not a bad thing, but if you invest stuff into Google, man, you can get your ass kicked. Google Glass, all this other kind of stuff that they've launched, and they've just killed. So,
I think it's still cool though that they innovate and they push these things and experiment and learn from. It's good that companies do that.
Yeah, I still wonder if the timing's right for streaming games, like especially if it's just a dedicated service. Like I think Xbox strategy of having it as a supplementary service is really, really smart.
Yeah.
Because no one feels like, oh, I'm only solely relying on that. It's, hey, this is an additive thing. Great. Having a dedicated service, I mean, like, we have pretty crappy internet in Australia generally, with exceptions. Whereas in the States, it's very lumpy. It's like a lot of people have really, really good internet, and it's probably most of the people working with Google. But when you go to the Midwest, the South, like their internet is bad, if not worse than ours in Australia. So... they're hitting those people up, and I've heard a lot of stories where people have tried to use it and it doesn't work, and it's a pain in the ass. And yeah,
well, that's going to be the biggest barrier in the end. You can have the coolest technology if you can't deliver it to people. Tough luck.
Yeah,
and we're probably not quite there yet.
Yeah, especially if it's a dedicated service. And
yeah,
I'd probably say just one tweak to what Swinny's saying. For me, like I still feel that this makes so much more sense for them to get into bed with Nintendo. And like do a partnership where like this is how they deliver streaming on Switch. Like Stadia on Switch, to me is pretty
cool,
pretty compelling proposition. Because as Swinny said, like I don't think anyone has said another streaming service is better than Stadia. Maybe it's the equal, but it's certainly not better than Stadia. And I think that's one thing that like Nintendo really needs to leverage for next gen games to come to the Switch.
I think at this point though they should not associate any of that, if that ever happens, with the Stadia brand, because the Stadia brand it's just bad news at this point. They can they should use the tech, but to say, oh, it's powered by Stadia or something like that's not. Yeah. I don't think that's going to help anyone unless they really do have long term plans, and we are, I guess, not giving them enough credit for that. But yeah, other than that, just anything associated with Stadia, I'm sure there's people out there that do love it. So I don't want to crap on the service that they like.
I don't know. We're not crapping on it. It's just...
But just in the general consensus, just Stadia has just been such a flop.
Yeah.
And it doesn't... And the thing is that, I think games. It's not just the game streaming part of it. We talked about it before. It's the way that they launched it. They launched it in this half-assed beta that didn't have, you know, 3/4 of the features that they had announced. You know, that the service is going to offer. They had a pitiful amount of games. They had the whole thing of you having to purchase the games as opposed to something like Amazon Luna's approach, where it's a subscription service. And I know they've got differences there now, and they're getting better with that stuff. But it was just all round. They just failed it. They really did.
Yeah, we're totally not crapping on it. But
no, we're not. And look,
no, I'm
love
sorry,
it.
sorry.
We're not. And I think love it or hate it, there's one thing that I think everyone agrees on, and that's the fact that Jade Raymond is freaking hot. Just woo.
You know, Mike,
from like 10 years ago when she was working on Assassin's Creed. Oh my god,
Mike! I thought, no joke. Before the podcast, we do a bit of chat about what we should do. I'm thinking to Mike. I'm like, Mike, don't say anything about Jade Raymond because that's just going to make us look bad.
No, look.
And I gave you too much credit.
Sorry, I had a crush on her like 10 years ago or whenever that was, like a major crush on her, and then I totally forgot about her, and she popped up again, and the name just reignited all these emotions in my head.
Okay, all right.
And I had to let it out.
But now I've learned to give that warning next time.
Just getting back to the story though, because I mean, like, this isn't a story of Stadia ending; it's a story of their studio ending. Although like you could mount the argument quite easily, they don't need an internal studio. I still feel like that promise of cloud gaming, like everything living in the cloud and the game living in the cloud, hasn't been realized of, how you can have a really crazy innovation there. Like, I feel like if you gave that dynamic to Nintendo, they love these kind of gimmicks. Like, give them a crazy gimmick and they can come up with some really wild idea. And for me, like, having a world where, you do have like 10,000 people in it would be really, really cool. Like, in a way that is super dynamic, and because it's all like in the cloud, you can do things that you just literally cannot do currently in any form.
Like Second Life, but without needing the client.
Yeah, but I mean, you already have like MMOs and all that kind of stuff. But I more mean like the fact that it's all running, all the logic is running in the cloud.
Yeah,
actually,
that's a huge difference.
Means the interaction that people can have with it is just like astronomically different.
Hey, that actually reminded me, somewhat topical. Since you spoke about having a PlayStation 3 and opening it and booting it up again, whatever happened to PlayStation Home? Was that the virtual?
They shut it down.
Is that still going? They shut it down. Okay, wow. I haven't.
It lasted for a while.
About that since then.
Yeah, it lasted for a while.
It was really cool. Like just setting up your home and stuff like that was different.
Yeah, it was really different. Yeah, I like that's what I love about the game industry. Like, they're always willing to do crazy different things rather than just sit on their laurels. It's almost like very focused on the innovation part of it.
I think that's awesome. And even if only 20% of these ventures succeed, I'm glad that the industry tries to do these things.
No, that's definitely true.
So
awesome. And let's move on to Mass Effect. So now we finally have the update where we know much more about the game, and including its release date, which is the 14th of May. So we also know that the game will only release on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And one thing that was dropped, and we'll talk about it shortly, but that the game is actually still running on Unreal Engine 3, which is where the original games were actually coded on. So that's where you will not see, things like ray tracing, and it's extremely unlikely that you will see it ported to the PS5 or Series X, because it sort of just makes no sense given that they're touching it up right now.
But I mean, it's still fine, right? Because you still get the 60 FPS scaled up on the new hardware. So.
Yeah. So I think, like, as what Sweeney's got in the notes, we know that 60 FPS on the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X and PC, but it's unclear if the PS4 base model and Xbox One base model is 60 frames per second. And then it also has 4K 60 on the next-gen consoles. So it will take advantage of them, but it's not dedicated because it is running on a very, very, very old engine now. Like, I think Unreal Engine 3 was something like 2006 from memory. So it's a very, very old engine, really. And Sweeney, I wanted you to cover Mass Effect 1 changes, given how passionate you are in stirring up conversation there as well.
Yeah, so they did talk quite a bit about the changes they're making in Mass Effect 1, and they've outright said that, it's getting the most changes, and the outlets that got access to, I guess, more footage of the game and spoke to BioWare and whatnot, also confirmed a lot more specific details about Mass Effect 1. But they have reworked, essentially, they've honestly massively reworked a lot of the visuals. Especially when you start looking at places like Eden Prime and Vermeer, where they almost look like they're completely different environments, and I'm okay with that. The Mass Effect 1 definitely had a look to it in its environments that were a bit sterile, so I think that it's actually good that they're adding a bit more life to it. I think they chose very poor screenshots to show off a lot of the differences, the comparisons, where they're just like, here's a massive lens flare. So then everyone's talking like, is J.J. Abrams handling
every
the
single screenshot just had so much lens flare, it was ridiculous.
Because if you actually look at some
cool.
of the if you look at some of the footage and everything, like, it actually looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
They've also redesigned the HUD, which makes sense, but I'm not a fan of. And I guess to go on top of what Intergot was saying, the reason why I'm passionate about it is because from the beginning when they announced this, that I stated Mass Effect 1 is my favorite Mass Effect game.
Yes,
it's the most RPG-like one, right?
Correct.
But I've been thinking about it too, and it's just it's the best.
So it's your favorite as well, Mike.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, sort of thinking about the different locations, characters, etc. And obviously 2 and 3 were more polished, but number 1, just the impact the story had, the generational leap in graphics and stuff, because it was one of the first 360 games that I think came out, or at least that I played. So yeah.
The difference for me is I actually prefer the way that Mass Effect 1 plays as well, which is not going to be... That's just the way... That's just my opinion. And my worry was that they would... And a lot of people want this, would have changed it to play essentially like Mass Effect 2 and 3. And they've kind of gone in the middle. And from everything I've read, I'm okay with what they've said so far. Like, for instance, they've changed the cover system so it plays more like Mass Effect 3. The cover system Mass Effect 1 was quite spotty and quite glitchy at times. And they've just, made gameplay tweaks along the lines of having a dedicated melee button, which is okay. That doesn't worry me. So far, I actually think what I've seen of it, I'm okay with it. And honestly, if I really want to play the original Mass Effect 1 exactly how it was, well, I can always go get the PC version and get a high-res texture mod there and then play it there if I really need that. So I think for everyone else that was really wanting to rework Mass Effect 1, now they haven't remade, as we said, this is a remaster through and through. It's definitely not a remake in any way. I think I'm glad that, they're doing the work for everyone else.
And it seems like a remaster plus, right? Like, there is a little bit extra that they've done that you may not see in a typical remaster.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's an interesting one because it's not a remake, obviously. It's a remaster, but I really do feel that and I think maybe, Swinny, if you go through the list of changes being made, it'll highlight some of these things a bit more. But there's definitely key things that are above and beyond, say, what you get between Shadow Complex, between the 360 and the remastered version. They feel like basically the same game to me.
Yeah.
Do you want me to clarify some of the details I mentioned?
Yeah, let's talk about those, because then people get a better idea of what's changed.
The games have a shared character creator now, which is, I think, a really good idea. So that when you essentially, if you jump straight into 2 before, if you don't want to play number 1 or whatever, it's the same experience of creating a character. Obviously, that means sharing the character across as you progress through the games means there will be no difference there. They've also made it so that the default, specifically the femship model, who wasn't in Mass Effect 1 or 2 in, I guess, what they call the iconic femship, which I think is ridiculous because it was only introduced in the 3rd game to call it iconic. But whatever, that's the popular one, the one that's on the cover art, is now available in Mass Effect 1 and 2, whereas before it was quite different.
So I'm going to play it when I play it.
And we've mentioned before when we've covered this that it obviously includes all the base games, but includes all the DLC packs, but they've clarified there's one that's not included, which is Pinnacle Station for Mass Effect 1, which is not a big loss. I think all you essentially lose is the combat simulator missions, and you get like a little nice it's almost like a room, like a hub on the station that you go to. But apparently that's because the source code was corrupted because it was developed by an external studio. So that's interesting. But
Yeah, that's crazy that they lost the source code and they did everything they could to recover it, but they could never do it. And that's why it wasn't on the PS3 version either.
well, that's interesting actually. I didn't realize that,
Mm.
but I'm glad that it was that one and not Bring Down the Sky, which is the one that introduced the Batarians for the first time. Or like they talked about Batarians, but you hadn't seen them. So I'm glad they've got Bring Down the Sky. So Pinnacle Station's not a big loss, and of course, no multiplayer for Mass Effect 3. They've been clear. Pretty much early on, all the rumors were saying there'd be no multiplayer.
Bummer. I was in the top 10 at one stage in that game in all of Oceania. I'm not even kidding. And I think your brother-in-law was number 1 or something at one stage.
Yeah,
wasn't
you
he?
guys were insane with. I wasn't a big fan, but I know
enjoyed
people loved it. So it is
That
a
was really
shame
cool.
for people that did love it. But I understand why they haven't included it.
Yeah, that's fair
We've
enough.
mentioned before that it was all built around microtransactions, and they'd have to probably rework the way that all the progression worked in, because I don't think people would let the loot boxes fly these days that were in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
Not the way they were implemented back then.
No. And there's a whole lot of other specific details, a lot of them, and there will be in our show notes as well about Mass Effect 1, the changes they made. Probably the one that most people probably enjoy is the fact that the elevator sequences are much faster now, and you can skip them, which means that if you want to get, because the way they built it in is you could hear about the news reports and it reacted to what you did in the game as you went throughout the game in the elevators. So if you wanted to hear that, you still have the option. So that's really good that they just didn't make them quick. You can still kind of experience that part of it. And
what do you guys feel about this whole remaster versus remake thing? Because I feel like it's almost like the reaction that people had to Mario 3D All Stars was, oh, this is terrible. Like they're just repackaging 3 ROMs and sending it out there, which
This feels like more than that, though.
but they did do work on those games. That's the thing I don't understand. I feel
Yeah, well,
it feels like a double standard to me.
I don't know what people expect. So obviously, I don't think BioWare in this moment in time has the budget to remake Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. And I think what's the point? I think their resources are much better spent going to the next step of the series. But at the same time, you don't want to just release a product that's literally just the higher resolution skinning of the existing one running at 60 FPS. It's going to piss a bunch of people off, and it's just going to look like a massive money grab.
that's what a lot of people wanted. That's all I wanted. I just wanted these games at 60 and with a nice coat of paint.
No, but
That's
see,
all I wanted.
Mike, that's my contention here, because I feel in general, and not everyone, but in general, people are pretty happy with this package and what they're doing here.
No, this is what it's sounding really good to me. Yeah, it's sounding like they've struck a really good balance where they're not drastically changing or remastering the entire thing or redoing the entire thing from scratch. They're remastering, but adding a lot of quality of life improvements and a lot of graphical improvements, etc., that I think aren't changing the core game. So people will still have that core experience that they enjoyed years back. But people new to the series that haven't had that chance get all the good quality of life improvements and graphical updates and all that stuff.
I think
It's
to
something like
expect remakes of games that are only 13 years old is a bit much. Now, I know Demon Souls obviously got a remake. I think Demon Souls is a bit of a special case because it's a Sony-owned IP.
It's a very special case.
And
yeah.
it was
It's
also,
rare.
it had a lot more potential to reach to a new audience as well.
Yeah, and it's also the
Oh,
starter of
those-
the Souls-inspired
makes sense.
Souls-like games. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
But I think Mass Effect 1 as a remake makes sense, but not as a trilogy as a remake, because honestly, Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 still feel like relatively modern games in a lot of ways.
Yeah, gameplay-wise and everything, absolutely. Yeah. Number one, I played it relatively recently, and especially after playing 2 and 3. The mechanics have aged a bit, but I'm with you on that one. I actually enjoy the mechanics the way they are, and it also felt different. It's weird. It actually felt fresh, because I played 2 and then I played 3, and I hadn't played 1 for ages. Then when I went back to 1, it felt fresh and different to 2 and 3.
That's why I'm okay with them keeping it on that engine, because if there was any risk of it feeling different, then I think I'm happy that we're just getting nice new versions. This is what I wanted all along. Just 60 frames a second, nice up-res textures, and I can experience these games again.
Well, just on that though, like you can even see with what Blue Point did with Demon's Souls that they kept the same base engine for the gameplay logic, but then were able to put a wrapper around the whole game to make it look phenomenal. So
That's true,
You can do those things, but I think Mike's ultimately right here, where they just need a W, they need a win in their column. BioWare, right? And it's like you go make a remake of, just say you did make Mass Effect 1 remake and it doesn't turn out like Final Fantasy 7 remake or Resident Evil 2 remake and it's a dud, like it almost will kill them. So whereas this, it feels like you almost can't stuff it up because you're literally pulling the game, the original code, and just, patching the latest Unreal Engine 3.
In theory, you shouldn't, because you're not going to piss existing players off. The only thing you might do is you might not get modern players that haven't played that on board because they're used to all these mechanics that the game doesn't have.
I'm interested in it. So, like, just given that it's like Unreal Engine 3, all these other things, I think I'll just wait until the reviews come out, like, especially, the few days before it launches. And if they're looking pretty healthy, I'll probably pick it up on day one and start playing it because it is a part of my Dirty Dozen. Mass Effect 1, so I do need to play it this year.
I absolutely will get it day one.
You're getting it day one as well. Okay.
I'm going to get it regardless of reviews, to be honest, because I think it's worth it. And I know this is going to sound stupid, but because of where BioWare are now with everything that's going on, it's not that I think they deserve my money or anything, but indirectly they deserve to get the message that people love the series and we want more of the series.
But they're already making it.
So, yeah, that trailer. We'll see how that turns out, but yeah.
I'll just give you not so much a warning, just, Mass Effect 1, the original, was a notoriously buggy game in general, and they didn't patch all of that out. So
nice.
Good. I'm hoping that they at least did some work around that stuff. And I know that one of the problems, like the Matriarch Benezia fight, so they've fixed that up a bit. And I remember starting that fight and then getting turned into a pretzel. Like literally, my character model was like twisted like a pretzel at the start. So I'm glad that they've at least fixed that a bit. But
yeah, no, it's exciting. It's exciting. And Mike, the key question here is: are you going to get the collector edition?
The legendary cash.
No. So Mike, as of a few months ago, would have jumped on that. Absolutely. New Mike that is becoming a bit of a minimalist or trying to be a bit of a minimalist, probably not. So.
Probably.
You need the N7 helmet for the show.
I don't think I will. Honestly, the first thing I thought when I saw that is I need that helmet for the show.
I like how you guys are constantly saying, for the show. I need to get this for the show.
For the 3 people that are tuning in to see us with that stupid helmet on.
Thousands.
I'm sorry, the thousands. I often get 2 or 3 people mixed up with thousands. Sure. Yeah, absolutely would. I mean, look, so you get the helmet. You get the helmet, you get the steel. So first of all, you do not get the game with the legendary case. It's just a case. It's a separate thing, kind of the way I believe Rockstar did that with Red Dead Redemption.
I don't mind that.
I think it's good. I think it's fine. It's an option. You don't, because I find, and maybe this is where they're coming from. I'm sure they did research on this. I find that personally, what happens is sometimes I'll get a collector's edition. And, the game comes with it and I'll open it up and then I'm like, I just open up the collector's edition. It's not really a collector's thing in some ways now. I mean, it still is, but true hardcore collectors wouldn't have even opened that thing. They would have left it in the package, right? So they would have gone out and bought another copy of the game just to play the game.
But I don't want a digital
holding
version.
On to the...
I don't want a digital version of the game. That's what I always have an issue with these collector's editions. They almost always give you a digital version of the game.
Usually they do, but I think this is really good because they don't give you anything. This is like an optional thing. If you want collectible stuff, you can get this edition.
Agree.
And then you can choose to get whatever copy of the game you want on whatever platform you want, which I think is also cool. Because, sometimes you'll get a collector's edition on PlayStation and you're like, but would I have liked it to play it again later on Xbox? Because maybe the next version of Xbox has better backwards compatibility, yada, yada, yada. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You just get the contents. And the contents... No, so it's $150 US dollars, and it comes with a replica N7 helmet that you can actually wear with lights and whatnot. A steelbook case, which we kind of talked about offline, is a bit of an interesting one because especially if you have a digital copy of the game, I don't know what you're going to do with that steelbook case. an art print, an enamel spinner pin, kind of interesting. An acceptance letter, which I think is a little gimmicky, but hey, it's it's a collector's thing. Why not? And I think if you do it via the BioWare store, you also get an exclusive FemShep canvas print. Again, game not included. Now, $150 may seem like a lot, but I don't know what that's going to translate to Australian dollars. Probably $250. I'm guessing. I was at EB the other day, and they had replica helmet things of Iron Man and whatnot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if the Doom one. I remember seeing the Iron Man and a couple of other ones, and they were $250 just for the helmet. So $250 for a proper replica helmet of a game that's relatively esoteric. Unlike Iron Man, where I think it's got a slightly bigger, there's a bigger fan base and there's a bigger market that you could get people to buy that stuff. It's not too bad for like a cosplaying quality helmet thing. But again, am I going to get it?
Sounds like it.
Would have passed? No. Would past Mike have gotten it? Absolutely. Because I don't know if you guys saw the picture that I had of all the crap that I collected from Mass Effect. So I've got all the collector's editions, I think, of every single Mass Effect. I've got the lithographs, and I've got I think all the lithographs that I have were the signed numbered ones. I've got all the books, I think.
So you don't have the most important one, which is the N7 PC case that they announced.
Yeah.
I know it's bad. I tell you one thing that I do have though, which is interesting from a collector's perspective. When the original Mass Effect came out, they had these I don't know how big they are, probably like 7-inch statues of Commander Shepard, and they actually look nothing like him. They were really well sort of made and cast. It was a resin cast, I think, from memory, and I ended up getting a couple of them, and I think they only made 2,500 in total, like between 2 and 2,500 in total. And to this day,
range,
I have
2 and 2,500. Jeez.
Well, I'm saying it's fairly limited run. It wasn't like just something that they did. Oh, look, two would be exceptionally rare. But even 2,000, 2,500, it's still within that range of that's pretty rare. So rare, in fact, that I have not seen them for probably about 6 or 7 years on eBay or anywhere available. Like, no one's selling these things. So I don't even know what the value of these things is, whether people, they're worth nothing, or whether because they're the first sort of statues ever released for this particular game series, they're actually worth a significant amount. No idea, because no one's selling them. So, and at the time they were going for super cheap because it didn't even look like Commander Shepard. It looked like a totally different character.
So you're saying that the game is going to spin up to a movie franchise, be worth billions, and then you've got these almost original Star Wars Kenner toys that are going to be worth
pretty much, man. Yeah, okay. Yeah. If this thing becomes big, I'm all in. I'm investing in BioWare stock.
And
these statues.
You hear that, Wall Street bets? Screw GameStop. Going on Mass Effect figures.
Into BioWare.
and one thing I didn't loop off before we move on is, Swinny, are you getting this game?
Of course. It was in my...
Oh, so you're getting a launch as well?
Yeah. I didn't say at launch. You said, are you getting it? Of course I'm getting it.
Got to do it for the show.
I don't know if I'll get it at launch. I'll
probably pick it up.
You will. I'm calling it now. He's gonna get it at launch.
I'm
calling it now.
I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up
14th of May. He's gonna get it.
He asked me a question, Mike. You want to keep talking?
No, I know you better than you know yourself, so I'll just answer that for you.
I'll pick it up sometime this year, but I've just got so many other games I'm in the middle of playing. So.
Sometime this year, like 14th of May, maybe.
All right, let's move on to the next story.
All right, let's move on. So another fantastic article from Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. I feel like almost half the articles he writes we cover on the show, but he does have a lot of good detail. Well, it's become a virtuous circle for him, right? It's people go to him because they can trust him with these kind of stories, and then obviously more people go to him, and then he writes great stories, and it keeps on returning.
And
so
he has collaborators on this. So in this particular one that we're about to talk about, as Priya Anand was a collaborator.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he always has collaborators in these stories now versus when he was at Kotaku, it was not as common. So it was a really interesting article. We'll post a link to it in the show notes and then on the YouTube clip as well when we'll cover it. But really, it was giving an insight into Amazon Game Studios, the history of Amazon Game Studios, the leader, Mike Frazzini, who's a VP of
Frazzini or
games.
Frazzini? Because it's like pizza.
Frazzini, I don't know.
Frazzini.
And yeah, he interviewed 30 current and former Amazon employees, so good little subset there. And just really their approach to gaming, the gaming industry, how they want to develop games. And, in a word, it's really, they're trying to build games the way that Amazon does everything else, because their view is their Amazon way and their Amazon process generates the right outcomes. It doesn't matter what field you're in. But I think, things like the Fire phone kind of demonstrate that sometimes those things don't work.
I'm sure there's a lot of internal stuff that never really worked that wasn't even spoken about.
Yeah. And I mean, through work, we chat to Amazon every now and then. And, one big thing for them, like Amazon, is trying to do new things and just putting things out there. If they work, great. If they don't, move on. So let the market decide, let customers decide what you like. So what were the big standouts for you, Swinny, in this article?
So they definitely it's a damning profile of Frazzini, really. So
Teeny.
I remember
Yeah.
when it was announced that they're starting, they're moving to games and everything. That I remember a lot of the industry talking quite a bit about it. It was the headline news at the time. No one was talking about this guy, and that just goes to show you that he really had no experience at all in the games industry. He was an Amazon lifer apparently, or is an Amazon lifer, and I think that looking at the history of what they've done, so apparently led the acquisition of Twitch in 2014, which is I got to commend them, was probably the best decision they've made in gaming. I don't know if it's financially been worthwhile for them, but Twitch has only grown and grown since 2014.
Best decision in gaming. That's a big call. Let me
for them. No,
to
for
buy
their
it
gaming.
was a massively
No,
good
I
decision.
mean for Amazon, their best decision.
Oh,
in their
I thought you said in
yeah.
general. But I'm
No,
Absolutely.
no.
but pause for a second. Like, to be honest, Twitch is worth probably like $80 billion now. And they bought it for less than $1 billion.
Yeah, so I was about to say, that's what I was saying.
Cheap.
It's like that has,
Cheap.
I don't want to say this guy hasn't done anything worthwhile. That was a huge get for them.
No, I'm like stuck on your point now, like, because I love business side of gaming. Your random comment, which you didn't actually mean, that it might actually be like the best decision in gaming to buy Twitch, because no one is even competing against Twitch.
And all the others basically closed down. Microsoft bought Mixer, didn't they? And that didn't really work.
Yeah,
it was a really good, smart decision. So people might shit on Mike, the other Mike, because of all the other decisions that may not have worked well because of his inexperience in the industry. But from a business perspective, he's also made some pretty smart decisions, clearly, when it comes to stuff like Twitch. But also, I think it's an interesting one since we're talking about a leader having to have experience in a particular field. I think, generally speaking, absolutely they do, especially with something like gaming. But then, if I think of someone like Phil Spencer, I don't know his full history, but I don't remember him working as a game developer within Microsoft, or he did software, but he didn't really do gaming. Yet he, became the head of the Xbox platforms, I think, didn't he? Or the head of gaming at Microsoft. And he did a bloody excellent job at it. So I think it also depends on the person, on the culture. There's a lot of different things.
I think he came up through the education, like they were doing educational software and stuff. So I think that's
it's different though, right? It's not gaming. So I mean, there's obviously commonalities and stuff like that and key learnings. But what I'm saying is, he wasn't a traditional person that worked as a producer in the gaming industry or anything like that, right? He wasn't a developer in gaming or anything like that, unless he's the one that did that puzzle. You guys remember in Encarta, you had that, what was it called again? That maze quest thing where you had to go through that maze and answer Encarta questions.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
The whole
you
reason
can remember that.
Okay, the whole reason I was bringing it up, Mike, was because the fact that they went out then and they essentially brought in a lot of big names in the industry.
Yeah,
who have all left now. 6 years across that time, that's quite a long amount of time. I'm not saying it's they joined and then left right away, but apparently just trying to conform to the Amazon way of working just didn't work for these developers. And that's what this whole article is about. It's just, by all accounts, from these sources that it just sounds like it's just been a really, really troublesome experience working on game development. And the fact that they've only released 2 titles since the studio began, and both have been taken off sale or delisted. So one is the Grand Tour, so based on the BBC car show, or no, BBC, sorry, Amazon car show.
That's it.
So
Yeah, I know. Sorry,
Delay that
Amazon.
a little bit.
Hey, I corrected myself quickly.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime car show,
It's on Prime
and
now, yeah.
Crucible, which was essentially basically like an Overwatch style game.
Mm.
They were taking, Grand Tour. I remember when that was announced, it was like, okay, cool. It's made by Amazon. That's weird. That was the kind of, I think, the reaction a lot of people had. And Crucible has been the only other thing they've actually managed to get out the door, and they took that down straight away.
Which is unbelievable. Like, how often do you see games get unilaterally delisted? You know what I mean? It's kind of strange.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing: the games you guys just mentioned. I think ultimately it's not about necessarily that. Well, obviously it's a lot to do with Mike being the head and making the key decisions. Absolutely. But I think what ultimately the real problem is they got a bunch of people who were in the gaming industry, were probably passionate about what they did, put them into a pure corporate environment where it was literally just make games that can make us billions. It's got to be $1 billion game. It wasn't so much make games that you're passionate about, make games that you think people will ultimately find it fun. It was make games that can be $1 billion game. Yeah. And I think that mentality right off the bat is just a shit mentality to have for something that in gaming is supposed to be about enjoyment. And you could see they did that because they literally just went out and tried to copy all the popular games that were out there.
Yeah.
Overwatch, copy that. It's such a shit sort of pure business driven mentality to have that I can see how that would be completely demotivational for the people that work in that business. So if you're a developer and you're constantly being shoved down your throat that we need to make this game because it's got to make money, and that's what the game is all about, you're going to lose your passion for that field. And it's no surprise that people left.
It's not just that, it's also the fact that they went all in on Lumberyard.
And that as well, yeah.
Yeah, so they basically...
Can you explain what Lumberyard... Just give a bit of context what Lumberyard...
Crytek is, very well known, like the Crysis games and things like that. And they essentially licensed technology or stuff that they'd been working on to create their proprietary engine, Lumberyard, instead of going out and using, Unreal Engine or anything else that's out there in a known quantity. And I don't think that's, the idea is not a bad idea for Amazon, such a big company, to create their own engine. I'm saying that's a bad idea. But I know that after a while, it almost became a running joke when I would listen to people talking about the struggles at the studio across the years. It's like, Lumberyard, like, what are they doing? Like, where are the games coming out of this, And I think there's a quote in the article that basically says, like, a common saying was that Lumberyard is killing this company. Like, apparently it was just, it is, they're still using it by all accounts. It's just really difficult to work with. And I know nothing about game development, but just going off that information, it sounds like that was, I don't know if it was just a bad way to approach it, or if they maybe should have started using other engines and then developed their engine over time once they'd established the studio can put out games,
Yeah, can I just say, like, I do feel like the games, and this happens in any industry when there's new entrants, there's almost a banding together of a community to push out the outsider. So if someone comes along who doesn't fit the mold, like Amazon, like taking a very corporate approach, and then people attack them for all the things that they do. It's like, oh, why are they using their own engine? It's like, well, I mean, Nintendo has their own engine. Sony studios have their own engine. Like, they started with their own engine. Like, that's not an uncommon thing. I totally understand the logic of what people are saying on the counter side, but at the same time, having your own IP and your own special source is quite critical as well. And then that generates a special look and feel for your games. And then, with the Mike Frazzini guy, it's like, because he's not from the games industry, it's like, okay, he can't be a good leader for a games company. I mean, like, look at Kurt Schilling. He's taught us that, you don't have to be in the games industry to be,
That's what I was saying at the start.
a very important owner.
Look at Phil Spencer.
But like one thing, like for me, my huge takeaway is it's so interesting that Andy Jassy, who is going to be the new CEO for Amazon, he is fully committed again to Amazon being in the gaming space and keeping the game studio going. Well, no,
Are you surprised by that? Or?
Yeah, no, because Amazon are pretty brutal as well. Like they'll kill things that aren't working.
No, they're brutal. Amazon, no. Yeah, but okay. The gaming industry is bigger than the film industry now.
Oh, much.
If you were Amazon, why the hell would you not keep pushing to break into the gaming industry when it's the biggest market by far?
Because they're spending $500 billion each year on it.
They will keep. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Bezos won't care. It's like keep spending the money until something works. Okay, guaranteed. There's no way they're going to give up on it.
So I've read and I know a lot about Amazon. Like what you're saying, you obviously don't know anything about Amazon. Amazon is like
not enough to
one of the most frugal companies going around. Like they have money to burn and they do not do that. That's
so
no, I get that.
In the article, they talked about frugal is like one of their corporate values.
Yeah. Look, I know. I read that part too. But all I'm saying is there is no way in hell Amazon are going to give up. I will make a bet with you guys. I will. You can tar and feather me and I will run down Burke Street Mall if Amazon completely pull out of the gaming industry. They will not do that.
I want to take that bet just so you do
I'm
it.
happy to take that bet. I know. He's saying ever. I'm happy to take that bet. Now he's thinking.
Probably ever.
Ever. He's going to say ever.
Yeah. I just don't think. I think it's too much of a market for them to go screw this.
We basically can't lose this bet because our
this is going to seriously suck on me.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Because we can't lose.
You can't. Hang on. This. Hang on. There's not even exactly. So you can't possibly lose. This is all against me now. What's going to really suck is if this thing ever becomes really popular, and like 3 years from now. Amazon released, they go like, we're out of the gaming industry. We don't give a shit about this anymore. And we have like 1 million listeners. And I got to run down Burke Street with feathers on me.
I've literally put in the show notes. Like I press my little button to mark the timestamp.
Okay, that's fine. I said it. It's out there now.
We can put it into the actual notes of the show where Mike is.
Okay. I think Mike's just been waiting for an opportunity to actually make that bet, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Since I was a little child, I always wanted to make a bet that I have to run down Burke Street Mall.
And we haven't touched on it just yet. But before we move on, so one of the games they announced, I got to handle this properly. One of the new games they announced a while back, but it's this MMO called New World, and it was scheduled to be released this year, even last year potentially, but now it's been delayed again. And essentially what the game's premise is, and this is unbelievable, that it's set in basically the 16th century in America. Well, is it America, Swinny?
No.
It's a fictional.
It's like an American setting,
but
it's like an American setting.
Yeah.
And you play the part of a colonizer going into a new world and killing the native inhabitants. This is all correct, right, Swinny?
So, no, the way I look at this is I think that I wouldn't actually take their description as probably the best. I think you need to actually look into what New World is a bit more. But what they've said is basically I think that there was content in the game that people could definitely consider racially insensitive.
Well,
so I think to say
that
you are a colonizer coming in, no, I don't think it's like that. Greedfall had the same issue.
I was going to mention Greedfall, yeah.
They had the same issue where it's all about how you approach that situation. Because I think there's interesting stories to tell in a setting like that. It's all about it's all about the tact that you take and the approach that you take.
Well, this is off Wikipedia now, right? So set in the mid-1600s, players colonize a fictional land modeled after colonial America in the Atlantic Ocean. Can I just say it like this, Winnie? So you even called this out last week. So, jump on the YouTube clips if you want to check this out. But Swinny had his final thoughts on Valhalla. And you're like, ultimately, you're playing a bad person, right? Now, the game is not marketed as, hey, you're playing a bad guy. You're playing a villain. You're playing someone who's pillaging and killing and doing all this horrible stuff, are you? They don't market it like that. And I feel like this game, essentially when you boil it down, that's what they're saying the game is about. You go to a land and you kill the
No,
inhabitants.
but that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
like you have to know: is your character literally going around killing people, or is it more about doing quests to build relationships? Like, because there's different ways you can approach that stuff, and there's always going to be people that just don't like the idea of any setting like that at all. So I
Yeah.
completely understand.
You know what I don't get either? I'm maybe I've never seen a screenshot that actually shows what this article is even talking about. Like, what are these people? What do these enemies look like? That are they?
You don't
real
you don't
humans?
get that impression from the trailer. The trailer's got all supernatural stuff going on.
It's all supernatural stuff.
yeah.
So it's I actually don't want to start any rumors, do anything. I will give them the benefit of the doubt on this, absolutely, because I haven't personally seen anything that shows what the article is talking about.
Well,
if that
I
makes
give them the
sense.
benefit of the doubt because it sounds like they've actually made changes that
And that as well. So maybe they changed all that, took it out.
They hired someone that to come in and advise on it,
Yeah.
and apparently there was resistance to their suggestions and their recommendations at first, but apparently they are taking that on board, and that's
They
probably the
probably
reason
did, yeah.
why it's been delayed.
Again, looking at the screenshots, it just looks like it's supernatural. It's got a very supernatural theme. It just happens to be set in, and it doesn't even look like the US. Looking at the screenshots, I get that it could very sort of broadly have that location setting. It absolutely does, but there's so many parts in it where I'm like, is that really? When you put supernatural things in that context, it could be anywhere. It could be on a completely different planet. So
Yeah, but the
I'd be keen to see.
game literally had a code name associated with Native Americans. Like,
Was it New World?
no, it was Renoke or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, dude.
don't-
Like the fact that they brought in people and then they themselves said the game's like racist. It's
Oh
got
yeah,
racist overtones.
yeah. I'm
Might be
sure. I'm
possible.
sure it had
I
issues.
have
I'm sure it had
again. I can't
issues.
comment. Have not seen
Not
it.
sure if
so-
I'm gonna be fighting on that side of the fence. I'm gonna move my video like screen onto one side and put you two on the other.
No, what I'm saying is, I think that it sounds like they've made changes to make it less insensitive. So I hope they live up to that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, look, again, my context here, I feel like very much this is a case of you build something and then people put it into a different context and you're like, oh, I guess it does sound bad when you say it like that. But you're not making it with that mindset. Like, I don't for a second think they're making this like, oh, let's kill Native Americans and do all this stuff. Like, no one in their right mind would make a game like that. But could you kind of accidentally make a game like that? I could totally see that. You know, go in, colonize, do this,
Yeah,
negotiate.
it's called Custer's Revenge. let's
Yeah,
remake.
again, I don't know.
Let's
I've
remake
seen-
Custer's
yeah.
Revenge.
All right.
See how that flies in 2021.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next story?
Let's do it.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So the next one, like, I'm very excited because it's numbers, and I love numbers. So you guys can't see this, and I guess also the folk in YouTube will be able to see, but no one else can. So. Oh well. I've actually done a little slideshow for both Sony and for Nintendo. So just going through the numbers, and I should say thanks to Daniel Ahmed from Nico Partners. He's a really, really good gaming analyst on Twitter, and he works at Nico Partners and then GameIndustry.biz for all the information. So just quickly running through the numbers. So Sony actually shipped 4.5 million units of the PlayStation 5. And one thing that was really interesting in their financial data is that, yes, they did confirm that they're selling it at a loss. It doesn't seem to be at like an extreme loss as the PS3, and we'll touch on that in a second. The other one is that the PS4 also shipped 4.5 million units in the same corresponding quarter back in 2013. So they're one for one. And one thing you should say as well is that they launched the PS4, strangely, later in Japan. So that wasn't including the Japanese numbers. And they also have now said that the sell-through for the PS4 is 115 million consoles, which is way, way, way higher than what anyone at all expected. And just like going through the numbers, like you get, the nice little hump chart that you normally would see in terms of like console sell-throughs. as always, the PS4 really didn't sell very much this year, with the anticipation of the PS5. But you probably will still see it selling, multiple million copies this year. So you probably settle at maybe 120 mil. If you're lucky, for the PS4, which is pretty incredible numbers. But that also depends if they are actually going to be producing it anymore. I know that they're still making the Slim. One thing I wanted to call out to stir you up, Swinny, and I thought it was interesting, is just PlayStation versus Xbox in terms of active users and how they're both going.
Why would that stir me up? I'm just
well, because you're a shill. You're a shill.
No, but you don't. I had no interest in sales numbers ever.
I know. But you're big on the console wars.
No, I'm not. I'm more interested in knowing, and we're covering this in the next story, how consoles sell within the same business, like Nintendo and Sony. Like what you're talking about, the PS4 versus PS5. That stuff's interesting to me, not how many Switches sold versus PS2s and stuff. I don't care about that stuff myself. So.
Well, I've got that next. So thanks for setting that up for me, Swinny. So in terms of active PS network users, you've got 114 million. But one thing that PlayStation is really smashing it out of the park is with PlayStation Plus. The subscriber count is up to 47 mil now, up from 38 mil in the same quarter last year. So they've added almost 10 million subscribers in 1 year. And they haven't had a huge increase quarter on quarter. Like from the last quarter, you'd think, with all the benefits of PS5 with the back catalog, it didn't seem to have astronomically bumped that number up. But then again, there's only 4.5 million copies sold.
Do you get like a month free when you get a new PS5 or something like that? No. Okay. All right.
No.
Huh. All this talk of numbers though makes me think that you should go join Amazon and become their game producing director, head of whatever.
Maybe. And then I just wanted to compare it to Xbox, what they're doing. So obviously PS Plus is much, much cheaper than Xbox Game Pass. But even with Game Pass, they're now up to 18 million subscribers. So Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, confirmed this in an earnings call recently. 18 million subscribers is an amazing number, given how relatively new the platform is, and it increased by 3 million. So it's increasing by about 1 million a month at the moment, which is just nuts.
Soon it will overtake the population of Australia.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true. And then also they confirmed on the earnings call that Xbox Live has over 100 million monthly active users. So they don't really disclose how many Xbox Live users there are. It's just really around the monthly active users.
Nice.
And then you could kind of look at these numbers. It's interesting because PlayStation, they've got obviously the 47 million PlayStation Plus, which is well below what Xbox has from Xbox Live. But then, obviously with some of the price changes that Xbox were doing recently, they're really trying to push people into Game Pass, and it's really coming clear with the numbers. One thing I wanted to capture was and I thought this was awesome, was every launch year, financial year that Sony has had for PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, they've lost money. So what I mean by that is literally, the amount of money going out is more than the amount of money coming in. Revenue would have been through the roof with the new consoles, but with the PS3, it was almost devastating how much of a blow that was for the company. They didn't, that division didn't make money for 5 years. They were losing money every single year. Whereas with this launch, they've actually set the record for the amount of money that they've actually made, Sony. So even though they're losing money every PS5 they're selling, so, it's kind of crazy, but, every dollar, just say they were losing just $1, they were losing 4.5 million, and then for every dollar, that's how much they're going to lose because of the amount that they've sold. But it's really driven, and this is the last chart here, it's really driven by the fact that they have shifted so much of their net sales into digital software, and then also DLC. So you've got basically half of their net sales coming from digital sales. So either games or DLC content, extra content, microtransactions. But then from a profitability perspective, that's through the roof, how profitable that segment is. Console is about a quarter of their net sales, but they're losing money on all of those. And then, for retail sales, it's now just 6% of their net sales. So they do not need GameStop. They do not need EB Games. They've really broken through needing those companies. And then I think it also gives you a bit of an insight as to why they've set up their own distribution model to distribute the actual hardware. Like in the US, you definitely can buy a PlayStation 5 through Sony directly. Can't do that in Australia, but you can definitely do that in the US. So yeah, that's my little prezzo on PlayStation 5 numbers. Were any of the numbers exciting to you guys?
Well, there is one number I'd like to know, and that is when the hell can people actually buy the console? Give me a date.
Well,
Because it's nice to see all these sales numbers, but not actually be able to buy one.
Yeah, so like that's always going to be a struggle because with the chipsets, I think it's going to be really tight for the entire year because the thing is they're losing money on every single PS5, so they have no incentive to bid extra for the chips that they need. Whereas, phone manufacturers, laptop manufacturers, they are making profit everything that they're selling. So they've got more incentive to pay more for the chips and everything like that.
Fair point.
All I know is that
Someone know that.
Sony is probably going to make a lot of money this generation later on.
Well, yeah,
once that install base is there, and with their strong first party, franchises and stuff, I reckon they're in a really good position right now.
Oh, they're killing it. Both of the consoles are supply constraint at the moment. So people who are comparing numbers, for instance, with the UK in the last 3 months have had a different console leader each month. So Switch sold the most 1 month, PS5 sold the most 1 month, and then Xbox Series X sold the most in 1 month. But that's really more about supply than demand at all.
It sounds like it, yeah.
But given that all their money is getting driven from digital now, Sony, it also shows, and in retrospect, it's very strange that they pushed their line so hard that they believe in generations. It's really like they just want people on their platform, and they don't really care if it's PS4 or not. What were you about to say, Mike?
No, I was just going to say it's interesting from a market share perspective that it's such a massive market that effectively you could simplistically bucket it to Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and PC platform. And you're trying to get people within that market to go buy your particular product. And the reality, though, is it's such a massive market that even being number 3 within that market, you can still make a shit ton of money out of it. So, because there's really like competition in some ways from that perspective, unless I'm totally missing something. It's fierce within that, but there's not that many competitors, really. You don't have like 50 different console makers out there.
No.
So it's an interesting market to be competing in.
It's much harder to break down the numbers for Microsoft because they're such a large company. The Xbox division, they basically don't legally have to disclose that much because it doesn't really make up much of their profit. But it does seem very clear to everyone that they make more money per person than Nintendo and Sony with their services and how they package things up. So they have a more sustainable model that they don't need as many actual consoles sold to be able to make as much money as say a Sony or a Nintendo. So it's kind of an interesting model. And then also,
obviously their running costs, if you could call it that, must be lower. And I'm assuming also when Sony started their entire PSN, they would have had to build that infrastructure effectively from scratch, right? Whereas Microsoft would have had years of experience, technology that was already there to be used.
Well, they
setting it up probably would have been cheaper.
They'd already built that on the original Xbox, so they already had
a
framework to.
They had the framework for it, yeah. By now, obviously, it would be way more efficient in that sense.
Talking about making a lot of money, how's Nintendo going?
Yes, let's get into the Nintendo.
Tell us how your favorite shilling platform is going.
Yeah, so I've also got a presentation for this as well. And again, thanks to Daniel Ahmed of Nico Partners and GamesIndustry.biz, because they're pretty much the best resources for these kind of numbers. And then the Nintendo financials, obviously. So Nintendo sold about 80 million units so far and about 500 million software sales. And just to put it in context, that's already more than the Nintendo 3DS has done. And Nintendo 3DS sold about 1/3 of a billion. software sales. So
Okay.
they're
And just
absolutely smashing it.
to put it into context, I probably am about 1/100th of those numbers.
Well, I mean, your number comes up next. That they
Uh-oh.
also have announced that they sold about 66 million Switches and then 13.5 million Switch Lites. So the Switch Lite itself is about to outsell, and basically because these numbers are as 31 December, I think by the full year financials, yes, it would have passed the Wii U, the Switch Lite by itself, which is pretty nuts.
The Switch, more than any other Nintendo platform that I can think of, just has that thing of it's okay to have more than one in the household.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
It's wild to me because that's
Is
just,
it okay if you're only one person, though? I mean, anything's okay, but should you be having two or three Switches when there's only one of you?
I've got nieces and nephews, and they've got multiple Switches in their house as well. Like, it's
But that's
wild.
because there's multiple kids, right? So it makes sense.
But that's not
You're
a
saying
bad
per
thing.
capita. You're saying
But
per capita.
Per
Mike.
capita makes
in-
sense, yeah. But for someone
historically-
like me to have 2 or 3 Switches, I
No,
don't
but-
know. Like, I feel like I'm a little.
My whole point with this was that in the past, you just have one Nintendo in the
Yeah.
house. That's it. You know.
Yeah, but also I guess, well, relative to people's income, it's probably more accessible. I mean, you can get a Switch Lite for $250. You can kind of go, well, I can maybe afford to get another one, whereas before,
Well, I think
$250 relative to people's household income was higher. So
Well-
getting multiple consoles was out of the question. Plus, people didn't have multiple TVs and stuff like that.
I think it's
different,
also
right?
the fact that it is the console and the handheld Nintendo now. It's in one. It's essentially one thing. Whereas before, you
Yeah.
might have a GameCube and a Game Boy Advance, or a Super Nintendo and a Game Boy. Whereas now it's okay. We've got 2 Switches, so that they can play that game while the other person's got it plugged into the TV. They can go into their room and play it. So this just
Which makes sense.
all adds to these numbers, which Intergod, I guess you've got a lot more detail now to go through.
Yeah. And just looking, because their financial year ends in the next quarter, so in the end of March, they're now expecting the Nintendo Switch to sell 26.5 million units, which is just insane. It is like absolutely insane.
So it's going to beat
sell.
the Wii, which is
One
wild,
forever Australian.
which is
Well,
wild.
no. So I'm saying 80 million is the current sold. So you've only got 3 months left. So the quarter. So you're talking about they'll probably add another 5 million to that. So that's 85 million. I will
But I
touch
think
on.
eventually, I think they'll outsell the Wii, though.
It's guaranteed to outsell the Wii.
Of course
at
it
this
will, yeah.
stage.
Because the platform's still newish.
Yeah.
So,
So I've got up on the screen just some charts backdating, like as if when the actual
can't see
console
'em, but
sold.
okay.
Yeah. I'll just talk to it. Like,
I
so
know.
as you'd imagine, the PS2, the Wii itself as well, absolutely sold gangbusters. And also the PS4. Like the PS4, the pace that the PS4 is selling at and has sold at is in the order of the Wii and the PS2. Now, the difference here is the Wii, but more so the PS2, had a long shelf life. Especially given that the PS3 didn't launch that well and it was so expensive. They ran the PS3 and the PS2 simultaneous for a very long period of time. So the PS2 was still selling. And also in Latin America, the PS2 sold like insane numbers. So PS2 ended up getting about to 152 million consoles sold. I don't think that the Switch has the legs to get there, but it actually is outpacing any console that's ever been sold to this date, which is insane to me. And that's not handhelds, but that's consoles. And just getting to like the Switch versus Nintendo themselves, as you know, like the Switch is just dominated compared to the Wii U, the trajectory. It's selling better than the Wii. And it's also interesting, like selling better at one stage than the Nintendo DS, but now the DS has pulled away again. So the Nintendo DS, which also sold about 155 million units,
It's insane.
I don't think the Switch will get there at the rate that it's running. And then the fact that they've said that they're about halfway through their life cycle, and then just as like these things go almost like a hump in terms of like how they start to sell less. I think the way that the numbers are shaping up, you're talking about 125 million copies of the Switch, which would be insane.
never
Now-
say never.
I know they recently clarified to investors that they're not about to announce anything about a new Switch model, right? But that has to happen at some point, surely.
Yeah, well, you
So
don't know.
I think
'cause, like,
but I think that if that's the case, then I think they can get there with that
to 150 or 125.
to the Nintendo DS number.
Oh, really? So you're going to
Yeah.
the 150?
Because the reason I think about that is this whole Joy-Con drift thing. I think will it's a horrible thing for them, but at the same time, I think some people just be like, well, I might as well just get the new model when they release
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and I'll just get new good Joy-Cons with it or whatever.
that's
However,
true.
who knows how the whole Joy-Con thing will work? But oh my god, just on that quickly, I was playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe yesterday,
Mhm.
and so I was using the Joy-Con when you take it off and you use it as a separate controller, and the single Joy-Con. And oh my god, trying to play with that plus Joy-Con drift on a split screen, oh my god, and it was like, but it was good. I needed to be handicapped because I was playing against literal children. So
I recently replaced my Joy-Con actually. Well, replaced as in I was at Cash Converters, and they had a Joy-Con there, and I got it down for $40. I'm like, screw it, I'll take the gamble. Turned out it's okay. I haven't noticed any drift so far, which surprises me because after buying it, I'm thinking, why would someone just get rid of just the right Joy-Con? Interesting. But yeah, it turned out to actually be all right, which is quite good. On the other hand, sorry, just very quickly, I bought one of the adapters for the Xbox controller for PC. It basically screwed up my USB ports at one stage, and then it just kept causing my PC to reset the moment I plugged it in. Like it must have short circuited or something. It's really weird. Anyway, back to the Switch.
Yeah, look, the one thing that I'll say about what you said, Swinny, around them confirming, which they did on an investor call, that they're not announcing, I think the wording was, they're not announcing a new Switch model anytime soon.
yeah,
right?
yeah, they were
So
very
now-
clear. They were very clear about that wording. Yeah.
Yeah. So just going back, so Reggie Fils-Aimé, who used to be the CEO of Nintendo America, said they're not announcing any new 3DS models anytime soon. And then literally 2 weeks later, the Nintendo 2DS XL was announced. Now,
So
like,
yeah, I wouldn't.
I love, like, I'm super into the corporate life, right? You always got to be careful with these
Yeah, you're a
corporate
corporate
statements.
whore.
So last year, Nintendo in an investor call literally said there will not be a new Switch model in 2020. They did not say this time. And the definition of soon can mean like a minute.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just a reality.
Dodgy, though.
And
Yeah, but that's dodgy.
I think it's the thing that I'm actually starting to shape up about is they may not do like a Switch Pro. They may just do a Nintendo 3DS style thing. So I don't know if you know much about that, Mike, but the 3DS versus the new Nintendo 3DS, it's a marginal change. It's not even as big of a change as like PS4 to PS4 Pro. And I almost think that that's probably what they're likely to do. They're probably looking to do something where it's much more energy efficient again. Battery life is
New
amazing.
Run me through that again. So I had the original 3DS.
Yeah.
And then I had the 2DS.
Yeah.
And then I had the 2DS XL, I think it was, the flippy one as well.
Well, that's
but it
the
didn't have
new-
3D anymore.
That's
that was
the new 2DS XL. That's different.
Right. But do they still have the 3DS with actual 3D on them? I haven't.
No, you can't say
Seen them
no.
for
They haven't made
eons.
them. They haven't made them. They don't make them
So they
anymore.
haven't made them anymore. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah. So if they do that, and then maybe what you're saying, Swinny, is like if they make a Switch Pro in like 3 years' time, let's say, then yeah, who knows where the numbers could really go. And just going like the thing that I think is the most phenomenal thing is the Switch first party library. It is selling. Like, people do not talk about this enough, really. Like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe selling 33 million.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, if they look, and the game deserves it. It's a brilliant.
It's a great game. It's a great game. And then, Animal Crossing selling 31 million copies in 9 months is bonkers. Smash Brothers 22 million.
Probably also benefited from COVID, I reckon, that one.
Well, yeah, they all have, but, they're still selling at crazy numbers. Like, the fact that the top 10 is on target to be at least 10 million.
And
So
we look at these numbers as well, and then you just look at the fact that the way they price their games and the fact that they don't drop in price compared to other developers and publishers, and the
Yeah.
numbers just start to get crazy there.
yeah, no, it's such a good point because you genuinely could look at these games and go, you pretty much they're selling them for $60. Like they do sales and stuff
Most
like
of the time. But even the sales are only at most, 25% probably.
Yeah. And you probably, okay, let's just for argument's sake say it's $50 in terms of net sales revenue. That means that, Mario Odyssey, which sold 20 million, that's literally $1 billion net seller. And then there's 5 other games that sold just as much as that or more.
Man, their war chest must be just like overflowing at this point. It's insane.
Yeah. So their cash reserves are in the billions now. Like
Nice.
it's they pretty much could have 3 Wii U's in a row and still survive. Like
I think
it's
it's
crazy.
really cool.
Yeah.
The only thing and please don't hate me on this, and I guess it's because I didn't grow up on Mario, is I wish they kind of went out and came up with some cool new IPs as opposed to just trying to rehash the same old IP in a different setting.
Well,
if that
I
makes
mean,
sense.
so just on
I'm
that-
over the whole Mario thing, and I'm sorry to the people that love Mario to bits. It's like Star Wars. I'm just over the whole thing. I get it.
I just
What
love
about
that
something
when
new
you've
and fresh
actually
and different?
when you actually haven't played that many of the games. I think
no,
that's
I
valid.
played-
100% that is valid, but compared to like people that've actually played every games, like you'd think they'd be the ones
Well,
who are
that's
sick of
that's
it.
the thing. You'd think they'd be even more sick of it. I'm sick of it, and I have the games, and I haven't even played all of them enough and properly. And I'm just sitting there thinking, it's kind of cool, but aren't people over the whole
what-
Mario thing?
Well, so
what's-
just on that. So this is timely. So Splatoon 2, which is like a new IP really for Nintendo, given that they've been around for 113, 14 years and 40 years in gaming. Splatoon 2 is only like in the last 5 years.
That's also about to say, is that the last big IP? They tried to launch ARMS.
That's ninth.
But
That's ninth, like on the list. So that's sold
Wow.
almost 12 million copies, which is insanely impressive. And
It's not bad, yeah.
I'm fully expecting a Splatoon 3 to come out, given that they're
Oh, for sure.
starting to
It's
wrap
a new
up.
cash cow.
Well, I'm not on the fence that some people are, like that they'll release Mario Kart 9 on the Switch. I don't think they will. I think that title is so evergreen, and I don't think Animal Crossing, they might come close, but I don't think Animal Crossing will catch up to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Because that still is selling top 3 numbers each quarter in terms of like a
But you
game that
reckon
came out
within this generation
5,
they
6
want?
years ago.
They want, but that's what I mean. The game's been out for so long, and it's a game that was on a previous platform. So,
Sure. But if it's
isn't
selling,
it about
if it's selling,
time they? Well, you're right. If they're selling, why would they do it? But why a Toyota Corolla sells? Why have a new version of it every couple of years? Right? It's the same principle.
Yeah, but that's the difference, that people stop buying it over time. Whereas people are buying Mario Kart 8 more than they did
'Cause it's-
last year, more than
they
they did
are-
the year before, and more than they did the year before.
I know,
crazy.
but I
Each
also
year
feel like
it set its record.
which kind of in some ways makes sense. But I also think it's
No.
it's-
Can I pull you up on that? That doesn't make sense. The only
Well, no, it makes sense because there's no alternative. That's why to me it makes sense. If there was a Mario Kart 9, those numbers wouldn't be like that.
but you don't normally see
But
that
there
with any
isn't
game.
one. So you kind of have to buy that. If you want a Mario Kart game, that's the only game you get. Go buy that.
But I think it's the
So-
power of the game. It's the only games that have ever been like this are really Minecraft and maybe GTA 5.
it's also got a
That's
really
still
cool
selling
box.
crazy.
And I think when you use people, like, no joke, it's that might seem like a stupid thing, but when I walk into the shop and I see Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it looks great.
It's freaking cool.
It's
box.
like you look at it
Absolutely,
and you're like, that as a parent,
No,
that'd
but
be the one I'd get.
All
along
I'm
with the
saying is,
Switch,
I think it's one of those chicken and egg things. I think the reason those sales are so high to me is still, and again, great game. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the fact that that is the only game you can get if you want that. So
No, it's
there
not. There's
isn't.
Crash,
If there was,
Crash Team Racing. There's a whole bunch.
yeah,
of other
but
games
it's
like it.
like,
Sonic.
yeah, but let's face it. If I'm talking more specifically, if you want a Mario based game, then that's the one you have to get because there isn't a 9. In
Anyway,
that
I
series.
think we'll talk to
if
a
there
while.
was a 9,
I think we'll talk to a while
guaranteed
about Mario
that would
Kart.
top the sales.
Look, like ultimately with Mario Kart, if I hear anyone who goes, "I'm going to get a Switch for my kid," it's the safest recommendation you could ever have in the world to get Mario
course.
Kart. And I think that's ultimately what it is. Every other game on this list might not click with people. I don't know a person who goes, "Oh, Mario Kart, oh, I hate that
Same.
game."
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Girlfriend
the power.
loves it. It
So
just works for everyone.
the last thing I want to touch on with the numbers, and then I'm done with this Prezzo, is
thank God.
it's interesting around just Nintendo's history with DLC, which they've never been the biggest supporters of it, but you've seen it in this year's disclosures that they are making so much money on DLC, download only games. So the way that they blend it all together is kind of annoying. So they will count games that they only release digitally as in the same category as DLC.
Yeah, that's
So like
that's
Kirby
weird.
Fighter
That's weird.
2 is like only came out digitally, so they count it like that. It's really stupid, to be honest. And also a bit annoyingly, they count Nintendo Switch Online in the same numbers, but the amount that they're growing that segment for them, it's now making more money than the download versions of the package games. You know, like we're talking about the Animal Crossing and Super Mario 3D All Stars, which is insane compared to their history, where it used to be like 2-to-1 type of ratio that the main game will sell and then, you know, the DLC would be 50% extra on top of that. Whereas most companies these days, they make as much money through the DLC as they make through the main game.
I think they're in the best position they've probably ever been right now.
Nintendo.
Yeah,
Financially.
Now that I think, no, just in general, just think about where they've been. You could make an argument for the NES days, but just think about like they're in such a perfect position right now financially. With I think the strength of their IPs, with the install base of the current platform, and the growth rate. I can't think of another time when Nintendo's actually been, which is wild to me.
Look, this is clearly not the best time that they've ever had. The best time that they ever had was probably around 2008, where they had the Wii and the Nintendo DS.
But
So if you think about it, like the Wii was 100 million seller, and the Nintendo DS was 150 million seller. So that's crazy numbers.
I guess for me, I definitely bundle it in with my personal bias about because I actually really didn't like the Wii as a platform.
Same,
and
yeah.
I think you know, and this is very separate from obviously the financials, but I'm like, I when I think of Nintendo right now, they're in a great place for me as a gamer as well. Like with anyway, we've talked a while about this. I think it's time to probably
yeah. All right, let's get into the next story, which I'm really excited about. So what there was some rumors about this happening for a long time, that the GoldenEye 007 Nintendo 64 game had been remastered and was going to be available on Xbox Live Arcade, potentially through Rare Replay or its own standalone purchase. As I said, in the industry, people have said this has been finished. Some people have said it hasn't. And basically, there's a lot of rights issues around this game. So including Microsoft, Rare, the people who own the James Bond IP, the rights to the game, and then Nintendo itself. So Nintendo America, Nintendo Japan. So there was what was it, Swinny? It was like a couple of hour gameplay footage of the Xbox Live Arcade game released sometime this week from memory.
Yeah, so it was actually just prior to when we recorded the podcast last week, but it was just that. It was just, here's the full playthrough, 2 hours, just over 2 hours, and I don't know if unless you changed it, that's what's probably running.
No, I changed it just because they're striking people.
Oh,
so.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But there's footage out there, but then they essentially went a step further this week.
Well, yeah, and that was the first time we had concrete proof that this game had been remastered. And then some lovely person out there, as part of, video game preservation, actually leaked the full game. And, I think this game's like 95% finished. It's quite funny. It opens up with something like, are we going to replace the Nintendo logo, or like some joke about that? So, it's very much like this is not meant to be for public at all. And yeah, like this is fully playable now. It's 60 frames a second, dual analog stick playthrough, and you can play this on PC through Xenia or a modified 360. So I guess I just wanted to ask you guys, have you guys played this?
No, and I won't be playing.
No.
Oh, you won't be? Why?
No, because of the means that it was acquired. I don't think it was acquired in a very ethical way.
Oh, God, no.
I have no problem with people playing it. I just personally won't because of that reason. Like, this is unlike standard emulation where people will dump a ROM of a game that's been released. This game was never released, so I feel that it just feels wrong to me. And it was gotten off the Xbox Dev Kit platform, which is called PartnerNet. So it was obviously acquired through very, very non-legal means. But it's such an impressive thing. So it was developed by 4J Studios, who not only went on to develop the Xbox Live Arcade version of Perfect Dark, which was fantastic as well. They also did and we've talked about it before, the brilliant Banjo ports. So they worked with Rare on that. So they've obviously got a knack for working with Rare and taking Rare games and making them look fantastic. And they also worked on a lot of the Minecraft console ports, including the Xbox and PlayStation versions. So 4J Studios are actually... They're quietly becoming a bit of a powerhouse at taking, I guess, Microsoft properties, but any properties, and doing a bit of a remaster on them, and porting.
And Mike, have you played the game?
Nah, couldn't care less.
So I legally
He's honest.
I legally purchased the game and installed it on my Xbox 360. And anyway, so I played the game, and okay, I'll just give some context. So I love GoldenEye back in the day. We played that back in the days when it was like super awesome. It was the first time, first person shooter felt good on a console. Having returned to it recently, like the original on the 64, I was like, wow, this game is so rough, so bad. Man, I must have had like rose-colored glasses, and just the control scheme's horrible, everything. So booting this up, I actually was kind of thinking, this is going to get to wreck my memory of GoldenEye 007, the 64 game. And just playing it, I was like blown away at how fun it was. It's such a shame this was never released. It is so fun.
It is such a shame. Yeah.
It's a bit odd, like the controls, like you have to change them. They're inverted by default. I don't know why, but it's like a plane where you press up to look down.
Yeah.
And I hate that. But you can change that really easily.
Don't start that fight. I hate it too, but yeah, a lot of people will fight you over that.
Well, it's a personal preference, and I'm a full believer that you should be able to change it in every game. Like, because it's so easy to change.
And you can every single game. Well,
not every game has that. Not every game.
Not every game, no. But a lot of games do have that.
So anyway, they should have it by default. But this game is so fun, dude. Like, it's a shame that you guys can't play it or won't play it, but it is. Like, I just went to boot it up just to test it. To go, okay, get a feel for it so I can chat about it on the show. And then I ended up doing like the 00 Secret Agent, like first level, just to go through it, play it. I played it again. And then I was like, geez, I feel like just keep playing this game. Yeah. I would buy this in a heartbeat. If this came out on the Switch, I'd buy it in a heartbeat.
Well, just a reminder that there is a fantastic version of Perfect Dark that includes a lot of the GoldenEye multiplayer in it. Freely, legally available. Not freely, but legally available. And looks great as well. So there is a legal way to play GoldenEye multiplayer. It's just not in GoldenEye.
No, it's not GoldenEye. It's Perfect Dark. It's a totally different franchise that no one cares about.
And I thought you hated Perfect Dark. Or was that only the one that came on
Perfect Dark Zero? Let's get that clear.
Yeah.
So
okay.
The Xbox,
I'm sorry, I forgot the Zero part.
The Xbox Live Arcade version Perfect Dark is got the treatment that this did. So
okay, right,
cool. You can play a lot of the GoldenEye maps and the GoldenEye modes. The one thing it's missing is obviously the GoldenEye characters, which people do love. So.
Oh, and I do love how you press the like R bumper or R1 and it switches to the old graphics mode.
That's cool.
Dynamic.
That's cool. I don't think they had that in the Perfect Dark one.
I love that.
So that's neat.
Well, I did it by accident. I'd heard of it and then I forgot about it.
Grenade.
I was like, how do I shoot? And then I pressed it. I was like, whoa. And it really does make you go, they've put a lot of work in. It's such a shame this was never released. Because they work so hard at this stuff. Like, it would suck working on this for a year or two, and then it just never got released, and you can't even really talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I almost wonder if someone in the project team just said, stuff it, I'm downloading this, and I'll send it out eventually, because it's just like such a pain in the ass that it hasn't gone live. But the fact that it's out, do you think it's more likely or less likely they'll ever release it?
I don't think it'll get a release. As I said, they already did Perfect Dark, and that to me fills that gap. But obviously, people don't. No, but it fills that gap in terms of if you want the multiplayer. So I don't think. I don't think there's a need for it. I think it'd be great for people to. I'd love it, but I don't think they would do it. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
And Phil Spencer's even said that it's just too difficult. So.
And he wants to do it. It's just licensing. Yeah, Microsoft definitely want to do it, but it's other parties that I think don't. All right, let's get into my favorite segment, Bargain Bin. So this week, Epic Game Store has For the King and Metro Last Light Redux for free until the 12th of Feb. On the Switch, I've censured Sweeney for his terrible recommendation for Sudoku.
Great game, Sudoku Relax. Great game.
But this week, we've got Quarantine Circular for $4.50. Dead Cells, which is a really cool game. It's 50% off, $18.75. And my recommendation was Dragon Ball Fighters, which is 84% off, which is $14.39. And that game is like a full game.
See, I was going to include that, but you didn't want repeat games in, so I didn't.
Yeah, but this is the cheapest it's ever been. This is by far the cheapest it's ever been. Like, this is crazy, the fact that...
with a Z at the end.
Yeah, that's how it's meant to be pronounced. PlayStation. So we've got Tomb Raider Definitive Edition for $3.75.
That's wild.
Sundered. Is that how you say it? Sundered?
Sundered Eldritch Edition.
Sundered Eldritch Edition for $6. Thumper, which I've got that on Switch. I'm a big fan of that game. $6. And perennially on sale, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year Edition, $16.
$16
such a good deal.
Wild.
Starring Jerry.
To be honest, if you want to get The Witcher 3, do not buy it for more than $20 because it always goes on sale.
It always
for
goes for about that, yeah. On most platforms.
And then we'll hand over to Xbox Shield to cover the Xbox stuff.
Gladly. So we've got some new Game Pass editions this week. We just picked out two of the big ones. So one is the Falconeer. So it's on console and PC Game Pass. That's available now. And that's only a Series X title, so it's not on Xbox One. And also the big one for me, this game is amazing, is Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age on console and PC. Available on the 11th of February. And I'm watching that with a keen eye because it's
achievement list.
It's not already on. It wasn't already on the PC versions on the Windows Store.
And he's going to play both of them.
He will.
I mean, the same game twice to get the cheapest.
Mike, I've already completed it on Xbox. What do you?
Okay, fair enough.
So he's going to play the second time.
And that's it's a hell of a completion. So that there's a lot going to that. So maybe my entire plan for my shortlist might need to change.
I'm actually really excited about this as well. I'm excited about this.
Zodiac Age is fantastic, and it looks they did so much work to it for. So
just a quick one on the Game Pass. No, this is related to Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm
okay. You go through the removals.
Thank you. So
and then I'll ask a question about Game Pass.
Yes. So there's some.
We'll do that. Does that sound okay?
All right, Mike. All right, you talk, Mike. I'm not going to mention.
No, you go. You go with
so we're having there's also some removal lowlights. So
which ones?
World of Horror, Shadows of the Damned, Deep Blob, and Ninja Gaiden 2 are all leaving Game Pass. Interestingly, Shadows of the Damned, when this got announced, everyone's like, "What the hell?" Because it's an EA Play game, and they weren't meant to be removed from the service. So people believe it's probably got something to do with the rights and licensing to do things like music and stuff in the game. So that's possibly why, because EA Play games aren't meant to leave from the vault, I believe, like that. So anyway, Mike, you kept annoying me, so what did you want to say?
I just wanted to interrupt you. That's it. No, okay. So I swear to God, and again, I am by far the most ignorant person on this podcast. Was Resident Evil not supposed to come to Game Pass? Resident Evil is on Game Pass. I'm talking about the Resident Evil 1.
It's on Games for Gold.
Games with Gold. Dude, I didn't even have an Xbox.
It's Gold.
Games with Gold.
Okay.
So for some reason, you can go and download it for free if you're on Gold. You know.
Oh, I'm an idiot. That's where it was. I was looking at it last night. I'm like, where is it? I can't find it.
Can we clip that when Mike said?
Can we also go back to?
Can we also? There we go. That's the episode title.
Clip it. No, we're calling the episode title "Business Numbers." What I remembered is from the fact, this highlights to me that the fact that I can see why Microsoft want to consolidate these services. Because even to me, as someone who uses the Xbox Dem regularly, I forget, is this on Game Pass? Or is this on Games for Gold? Or is this just in the regular sales section?
You just need to pay attention.
No, but it's like, Jesus Christ, there's so many different places this thing can be. But I think as a platform, I hope they need to just condense the offerings a bit.
All right, we're
For
moving
idiots
on.
like me.
Yeah, correct. We've got all the right highlights. That you're an idiot and you don't
I'm
listen to what we say.
ignorant.
All right, let's get into
I
the
interrupt
segment.
all the time.
So
Okay, let's go.
This is for Game of Some Other Year. It's very exciting for 2011. We're doing our shortlist and converting it into nominees. So we're going to have 6 nominees for Game of Some Other Year 2011. I'm actually nervous about this.
Why?
I don't know, because I feel like this is going to be a really heated discussion. Because like I'm the only balanced gamer on the podcast. I game on everything, whereas you guys are anti Nintendo. So
I game on what are you talking about?
Nintendo's like the only thing we're
I
not
game on
anti.
everything as well. I'm the most agnostic.
I'm just setting some context, so then I can win my arguments later.
Sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter because that island wins. So whatever you guys say is
So
irrelevant.
we
All right.
we decided we'd select 8 games that we're suggesting or that we're putting up, but we're not going to rank them, so we're not going to show our cards just yet.
Correct.
When it comes down to having to choose what the game of 2011 is, then then those rankings will become important, and we can play their cards.
Or the
then.
Game of Some Other Year, 2011. So let me just quickly go through our shortlist. So we've got another show. We should try to clip that back and put the link in the show notes for this clip. But so our shortlist that we had were Batman Arkham City, Battlefield 3, Dark Souls, Dead Island, Deus Ex Human Revolution, Dragon Age 2, The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, Forza Motorsport 4, LA Noire, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Mario Kart 7, Minecraft, Portal 2, Saints Road the Third,
Saints Row.
I know. That's how we wrote it in the show notes. Shadows of the Damned, Star Wars, The Old Republic, Super Mario 3D Land, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, and The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings. Is that right?
Yes.
It's too small. Yeah, Assassins of Kings. I have to say, dude, when you read through all of those games, it's like, wow, what an insane year.
Oh, it's
What an
wild.
insane
It's
year.
wild. Even just like doing my own rankings and stuff in my, it's like, wow. I feel bad for not, including some because you're like that game's so good, but you've got to limit it. What can you do?
Yeah, definitely.
Hang on
definitely.
with the last one. Is it Assassins of Kings?
Assassins of Kings, yes.
So it's kind of like Demon Souls. It's
No, there's no
multiple
possessive.
souls
There's no
of a
possessive.
single demon, whereas
There's no
this is
possessives.
multiple assassins of multiple kings.
Correct. It's multiple assassins of
Okay.
multiple kings.
Okay, cool. Yep, just clarifying that.
So we need to whittle this
Yes.
down in unison to 6, and we're
how
gonna
are we
have
going to
it.
do that?
So far we're gonna have it as like, unranked, obviously, and then we'll come back to each of the games that are in the top 6. We'll do a special feature on every single one of them, and then in a later show we'll actually decide what we believe is the Game of Some Other Year 2011.
Yep.
Which I think is gonna be so hard this year. But
Yeah.
So can we? How do we start this? Do we eliminate the ones that none of us have voted?
Well, that's
for?
why we're going to go through our lists, and then it's going
Yeah.
to be clear which ones aren't going
Cool.
to make it.
Easy.
Well, yeah. So do we? How do we want to do it? Do we want to just say what each of our lists are in alphabetical order, and then I'll pull those out, and then we'll go from there?
I think that's
or-
probably the best place to start. So,
Okay.
Mike, why don't you kick us off, mate?
Yeah, try to
Oh,
do it in
you guys
alphabetical
want me to
order.
do it?
Try to do it in alphabetical order if you can.
Okay, I'll do it in alphabetical order,
so
even though the
again-
majority of them are D's. But
Okay,
that's
but just again, just like we're picking 8 each from this list of 20. So we're gonna have more than 8.
And don't say more than one thing about each game because otherwise we'll be here forever.
No.
So
No, I know. I'm going to go straight through them. Okay, Battlefield 3, Respawn again and again. That's my number 1 on the list.
What? You're number 1 on the list. What does that mean?
What? Alphabetically.
Oh, okay.
It's the first one on my list. You told me to do it alphabetically.
Battlefield
worst,
3,
like,
Game of the Year.
instruction.
So, okay. Numero duo is Dark Souls, Die and Die again.
Yeah,
Obviously, cool.
let's just keep going.
Numero 3 is Dead Island, aka Game of the Year 2011.
Okay, come on.
And then we have Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Yeah.
Then we have Forza Motorsport 4.
Yeah.
Then we have Skyrim Job.
Yep.
And then last we have Witcher 2, starring Jerry.
Well, that's not enough games.
You need two
There's only
more.
6.
That's 8.
No, that's 6. I'm counting.
No,
it
that's
right now.
8. Battlefield.
No, 1, 2,
Dark
3, 4,
Souls.
5, 6, 7. You've only got 7. Battlefield, Dark Souls,
What?
Dead Island, Deus Ex, Forza, Skyrim, Witcher 2. Did you say something
Oh,
else?
Oh, I missed Dead Space 2. Wait, I wasn't going to put Dead Space 2. Shit, I screwed it up. Sorry,
Dead
guys.
Space 2. It's not even on the shortlist. You idiot.
I know, it's not even on the shortlist. Exactly.
All right, you got 7. You got 7.
No,
Let's
hang
move
on,
it
no. Whoa. I'll just put another one of them in there. Let's put in. Not interested. Don't care. Let's go with
Don't care, this
Dead
is like-
Island game of the year.
You've
Let's
already
go with
said Dead
Batman
Island.
Arkham. Okay, I don't really. I didn't. LA Noire. I'm gonna go LA Noire.
Don't
Okay.
care. This is like the biggest feature we've been planning.
Yeah, and I'm like nervous about this, and he's just like,
I
just pick one
screwed it up.
randomly.
No, I put the wrong one down.
Oh,
All the
wow.
other ones were fine. I just one of them. I copied the wrong one down.
What was the
That's the
last
show
one?
title, Dead Space 2.
What was the last thing? What was the last game on your list? Was it Witcher 2?
LA Noire. Oh no, it was Witcher 2.
Witcher 2, but I'm putting
So-
LA Noire in
Okay,
there. Yeah.
cool. All right.
All right. Do you want to go, Swinny?
Yeah.
I have to say, the way that I'm visually depicting this is not going to be helpful, given the selection so
Okay.
far. But
Okay.
let's go, Swinny.
All right. So starting with Battlefield 3,
Oh, yep. Okay.
Dark Souls,
Yep.
Deus Ex: Human Revolution,
Yep.
Dragon Age 2,
Oh god. Yep.
LA Noire,
Yep.
Super Mario 3D Land,
Yep.
The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim,
Yep.
and The
Skyrim
Witcher
job.
2 Assassins of Kings.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's funny how we are alphabetically putting these different because I put Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I
earlier
know,
than
I
Skyrim.
know. Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. Okay, I'll go through mine quickly then. So I've got Batman: Arkham City. I've got Dark Souls. I've got The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I've got LA Noire. I've got The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. I've got Minecraft. I've got Portal 2. And I've got Super Mario 3D Land.
Quite different.
So our pro.
So if
Our
according
process-
to this, yeah.
Well, we can cut a bunch of games
Well,
out. That's
Not only did we cut a bunch of games, but
We've gone from 20 down to 14. So that process wasn't that helpful.
Yeah,
We probably
it
should have
wasn't
done the top
helpful.
6.
But I also wonder, like, if all of us voted for a particular game, does that kind of put more weight? To
yeah,
it?
that's the whole point of this discussion. Is that?
But
we
hang
can
on,
now
did
weigh
any of
things
us
up.
actually finish LA Noire?
Yes, I did. I finished
You
all.
into God?
I finished
No, no,
LA
no.
Noire and all the.
Yeah, I never
DLCs.
finished it either. So
Then why did you
so
put it
it'll
on
be
your
interesting.
list?
Well, because I thought it was a great game from what I played and deserves to be on this list.
It's
But
not
I
like-
didn't think it would end up winning, even though two of us never played
No,
it.
no. Wait, okay, like let me pause you there.
Well, we played it, just not enough.
It might not even make it to the short list of 6.
Yeah.
Just because it's got 3 votes doesn't mean to me that it guaranteed has
No,
to
it's not
be.
guaranteed, but it's fascinating that we all put it there. Yeah,
Because
it
everyone
might not
could have
actually
ranked
make
it in 8th, you know?
Yeah, LA Noire is an absolute achievement in gaming. It's not for everyone, but it's a brilliant game. Some of the technology they used, developed by an Australian developer. LA Noire
Yeah,
is
Team
great.
Bondo.
So I think it definitely deserves to be in those 6 if we've all voted for it.
Okay.
Well, can I just call you both out? How the hell have you not got Minecraft and Portal 2 on this list?
Portal 2.
I know.
Portal 2
I admit.
was the
That
9.
is unbelievable.
No, Portal 2 was
That
the
is
9.
unbelievable.
Was the 9 on that?
How can you put Witcher 2 ahead of Portal 2?
Witcher
That's
2
just-
is an
unbelievable.
amazing game. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not Portal.
It's better than Portal.
Yeah, it's Witcher 2. And it stars Jerry. So I
I
think
need to start my
it's-
own list.
Well,
Well,
clearly.
you have a list.
And you saying Minecraft. Minecraft is a cool game, but it doesn't hang with these.
Whoa, I don't
Okay.
know.
And
I'm with Intigon on this one.
and
It,
it
doesn't-
it deserves
And
to be.
especially 2011 Minecraft doesn't hang with these games.
No, but say, okay, yeah, we're going to have this debate about this stuff, right?
Well, it doesn't matter because it's not making it in the 6 anyway. So
Well, it might.
Well,
might
I
be
don't
able to
know.
get
It
Mike
might.
across the
It
line.
might because Mike might take LA Noire out.
you can't
Yeah,
and put Minecraft
change.
there
yeah.
You
instead.
can't change.
Why not?
No, he
Well,
doesn't
LA
need to.
Noire was the
Hey,
one that I screwed up anyway, so I can pick whatever I
For
want.
the record, the votes don't mean they go through to the top 6. The votes mean nothing. The votes just mean they get into this short list, which is not that short. It's
No,
14
that's
games.
fair enough. But for the mic to then go and change it was
I'm allowed.
That's
Well, I
ridiculous.
What, you're making rules on the spot?
No.
You can't make rules on
Hey,
the
wait.
spot. I'm allowed.
I wouldn't have put LA Noir in the top 6. It definitely was a top 8
Yeah,
for me, but it was a debatable one. Like, I was like debating between that and Deus Ex.
So I just like that
So-
a game that I got on all of our lists is not even considered.
But it's a top 8. It's not a top 6. So it's a different list.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Well,
let's
come back
this
to that.
pains
Let's-
me.
no.
Wait, let's do the easy ones. Let's do the easy
wait.
ones.
This pains you. This is what this is for. This is what
No.
we
You're
need.
not listening.
Yeah.
I was about to say, even though this is on my list and I want it to be in the top 6, and it feels like there's zero chance of it happening, is the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Yeah, probably
Is
not
it-
going to happen.
Is this going to happen, Sweeney?
So to give you some context, Skyward Sword, because I have a ranked list. So I was going to mention that Skyward Sword out of the 20 games is actually ranked 13 for me.
Wow, really? That low?
Well, first, I actually think
So-
that's pretty high for this game, honestly.
Well, the list is very
Can we
good. The list is
can
good.
we rule it out though?
yeah.
I think so.
think
Because
so.
I'm not going to
I
vote
think
for it. So
Okay,
that's out.
Look, I'll just say, because now we're deleting it, so we're not going to talk about it again. This game, so I didn't play this when it came out, but I've played it subsequently. And this game gets such a bad rap. I don't play these games listening to hype or what people say about it. I think it's a great game. And yeah, there's like broken things in it, but it's a very enjoyable Zelda game.
It's,
But anyway, I'm
it has
deleting
some-
it.
It has some good dungeons, and it has the motion control implementation is fantastic, but it just has some design flaws that put it down on the list as other games. So
Yeah.
goodbye, Skyward Sword. Nice to
So
know
what
you.
It's
about
good.
Dragon Age 2? Given
Well,
that,
oh, hang on.
two
I
of
was going to
us-
say Forza, because
Okay, yeah,
you
fair
didn't
enough.
vote for
Forza,
that, did
yeah.
you, Sweeney? There's no way Forza
No,
would be in my
it's
top
just me.
6.
No.
It's just me. So
All right, do
I'm
you want to give
happy
its
that-
eulogy?
That's out. That's gone. Goodbye, Forza.
Do you want to talk something positive about it? That's a shit eulogy so far.
Goodbye, Forza, so long.
Well,
I don't
it's
really
gone.
give a shit.
Bye bye.
I don't think about the
he puts it in his
past.
top 7, and he goes, "I didn't give a shit."
I
About
was-
it."
I don't give a shit. I don't have any emotional attachment to stuff like that.
I was
move
prepared-
forward with my life. I'm not stuck in the past.
I was prepared to
What's
ask
Motorsport?
you, do you even remember the difference between Forza 3 and Forza 4 and
No.
Forza 5?
I like Forza 3. I like that
Better
game.
graphics.
Oh,
I
they're
guess.
good games.
I-
I'm not saying that. So.
So Dragon Age 2, that's the next on the shopping block, right?
Yeah. So I'm not voting for that.
Oh, there's no way I'm
thinking-
voting for that.
No. So
No, but as in,
Sweeney-
was that on your list, Mike?
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
on the
then
list,
yeah, it
Dragon
goes.
Age
It
2.
goes. So
Right,
Dragon
so
Age,
that's gone.
yeah, Dragon Age 2, cool characters, but yeah, goodbye.
Okay, that's
5,
out.
6, 7, 8, 9.
It's narrowing it
10,
down
11.
a bit.
So we're at 11.
Portal
now.
2.
We're at
Portal
11.
2. Let's talk about Portal 2.
Oh,
Because
how
only one
come-
of us voted for that.
How can we eliminate Portal 2? It's
Because
an incredible
neither
game.
Sweeney nor I think it's the top 6.
So you both
It's
have played it.
incredible.
You both have
Absolutely
played it.
incredible. I played it, I finished it, enjoyed it, but it just isn't in my top 6.
Yeah. As I said, it was my number 9 if we were ranking it. So
Yeah.
it just missed the top 8.
was-
Great game, but it's not. I prefer the other games that I listed more than it.
Yep. Okay.
Also,
It's out,
this
sorry.
this makes me laugh because I said to Swinny, I'm trying to play as many of the shortlist games as possible, you know, and I'm just trying to pick the ones that are just obvious that are going to be in the top 6. And I said to him, I like Portal 2. That's just obviously going to be in the top 6. And
Maybe not.
then he's like, I was like, what?
Well, I haven't even ranked and chosen stuff at that point. So,
But you would have had a gut feel that you weren't going to put it in your top 6.
no, I actually would have. No, I probably would have made my 8, but I actually had a realization that a game deserved in over it. So, which I'll mention soon.
I think it's nuts that Dead Island and Battlefield 3 are in contention over Portal 2.
First of all,
Why?
I didn't vote for Dead Island. Don't put me on.
Oh,
that
okay.
lot.
Sorry, I thought you did
hate
for
Dead
some reason.
Island. I'm not a fan.
All right, let's get rid of that then.
No, we're not getting rid of that. I'm quitting the podcast if we're getting rid of that. That's the game of the year 2011.
The meme is over, Mike. The
Fine,
meme
I'm
is
kidding.
over.
I'm
But we-
kidding. We're
we
getting
actually
rid of
haven't said
I
that.
really
Yeah.
don't give a shit. It's out.
Are we doing
Huh?
any veto powers or anything crazy?
No,
like
there's
that?
no veto power. Screw it. It's out.
I reckon we'll get there. I reckon we'll
let's
get
be
to
real.
the 6
Only I voted for it.
just through deliberation.
Yeah, but I don't like how it's becoming like by committee. You know,
Okay.
getting
What-
rid of games like, you know, Portal 2, it's insane to me.
Well, tough shit. I had to get rid of Dead Island, and I love that game.
Oh, so
Okay,
we
what
are
about?
are we getting rid of Dead Island?
Yeah, of course we
Okay.
have to.
All right,
All
so we're
jokes
getting rid of
aside,
that.
only I voted for it, so it's out. What
Are
about
we
LA
actually,
Noir?
wait, stop. I haven't moved
Yeah.
on yet. Are we actually getting rid of Portal 2 right now? Or we
Yes.
just keep it there for a little bit?
No, it's out. No, we're not keeping it there for a little bit.
Sweeney?
Don't tease us with that. No, it's out.
Sweeney?
We
Well,
got to make executive decisions.
I think it makes sense for us to drop it now. But
Oh,
Yep.
my God.
as I
All
said,
right.
it was
Look,
my number 9. It was my number 9. So it
Bye
came
bye,
close.
Portal 2. Okay.
We'll
I'd-
come back to it if, for whatever stupid reason, there's like a sixth spot that we can't fill properly, and we think it's better than what we ended up in
If
the
it,
sixth
if it
spot.
was any other year in this era, then it would have made it in the 6th. It's
Yeah.
just this year was so strong.
No, 2011. Too
well,
strong.
I'll just, say the eulogy. Portal 2, amazing game. Definitely should have been in the top 6. For me, fighting for number 1 even potentially. But
Yeah, okay, move on with your life,
These
dude.
numbskulls have got no taste. They're Xbox shields. They only care about
Stop,
Xbox.
stop being stuck in the past, man.
All right, I'm deleting it. I can't
Think of
believe
the
I'm deleting
future.
it. This is definitely not my list, but it's like not my president.
Well, duh. It's our list.
All
Okay, can we talk about LA Noir though? So I'm happy to drop it because obviously I took it out, but
no,
also
no.
because
We
you
can't-
didn't play it
no, no.
enough. You didn't play it enough to really have it in there. I think.
No, this is
for it to
super
count.
illogical. We have to park LA Noir because all of us had it on the list. You can't delete that right now.
Well,
the one,
I had
the
it,
one that
but
I
it's
wanted to
gone
bring
now,
up
so-
is Batman Arkham City. So
Yeah,
you
okay,
guys
let's bring that
didn't
one
have
out.
that
That's-
game on there.
No, I didn't have it. I liked it, but I not in my top 6.
Yeah.
It was high up-ish, but not in my
So
top 6.
I liked it, and I think it did better than the original Arkham game. But
Okay, so it's out.
you guys don't feel like that?
Arkham City, I really tried with this game. I don't like that they made it more open world. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
reason why
Okay.
it didn't click with me over. I really liked Arkham Asylum, but I liked that it was essentially a Metroidvania by design, and I think that while they kept components of that with Arkham City, taking it to a more open world setting, almost like an Assassin's Creed style, small kind of city, it didn't. That's the reason why I didn't put it on my list. Honestly, it's like number 15 on my list. It's
Oh,
really
wow.
far down. Yeah, but
Brutal.
I mean, again, like this is a crazy packed year, so.
So you guys
Okay,
are too
so-
similar in what you like. So then I get
Well,
shafted.
Yeah, you get ganged up on. I'm sorry, but we're not because Sweeney hates that island. I freaking love it. It's. I'm not even joking around when I say it's easily in my top 6 games of 2011. So, we have differences.
I feel
I'm
like
not
half
into
of my
Super
list is
Mario
going to be
Land.
missing. Half of my list is going to be missing here.
You need to get better co-hosts then.
I need more power. So I'm getting rid of Arkham City.
Oh, I think it has to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
All
that's
right.
out. Only one of you.
All right, I'm removing Arkham City.
So
Arkham
we only
City,
have to eliminate
fantastic
2
game.
more.
Hey, let me.
It is a
eulogize.
fantastic game.
Yeah, let me-
okay, sorry.
can you take
Shut up.
stock?
Eulogize it. Yeah. Well, no, let him eulogize first. Let him externalize his emotions. Let him cry, whatever he needs to do.
Let me speak. So Arkham City, great game. Given Game of the Year by a lot of outlets the year it came out, even though it was a very competitive year. I think to me still the best Arkham game out there. So I apologize again for these numbskulls. So I'll delete this game.
I like how I'm like, oh, you guys don't like that game. That's cool. Whereas, like, we don't like the game you like. They're numbskulls.
Pretty much.
Okay,
so
so-
we're down to 8. We're down to 8. So we're
Down to-
basically
yeah, we just
Can
need
you
to
take
get rid of
stock?
2
Can you take
more.
stock of what's left?
yes.
So we have
all right.
Battlefield 3.
Shut up, Mike, because I'm
We have-
visually got it. So
Okay, fine.
Battlefield 3, Dark Souls. You don't even remember to say 8 on your list, so I'm not getting you to play back.
I had 8.
where we're up
I
to.
had 7, 8.
So
whatever.
Battlefield 3,
Anyway.
Dark Souls, Deus Ex, Human Revolution, The Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim, The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings, LA Noire, Super Mario, 3D Land, and Minecraft.
So I
I
think
want to get rid of Witcher 2, man. I feel like
No.
you guys are giving me
Nah,
battle blows.
nah,
Witcher
nah,
2! Witcher 2
nah,
is just like,
nah,
it's clearly inferior
nah.
to Witcher 3.
I actually
No, it isn't. I
actually
actually prefer it over Witcher 3.
I prefer a lot of. I don't. Overall, I prefer The Witcher 3, but I actually prefer the gameplay and the combat of Witcher 2
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah, same. And
Like
the linearity of it,
Intergot,
in a way,
Witcher
I
2,
actually
Witcher
like.
2 was actually a big deal when it came out.
Well,
it
it's not
really
linear,
was.
but yeah.
Now
Big
it
deal.
wasn't. It
Yeah,
was
a massive deal, man.
But obviously, Witcher 3 was a phenomenon. So when you're
Yeah.
comparing the two, yes, but back in when The Witcher 2 came out, that made CD Projekt Red a household name.
No, it didn't.
Yes,
You're
it
crazy.
did. The Witcher 2.
It absolutely
did
did.
not.
Witcher 2.
It did.
Mate,
You should
do
have
know
been there,
why-
man.
do you know
Integral,
why-
did you ever play
weren't
the?
into it
Did
at
you
the
even
time.
play the game?
Yeah, did you ever play Witcher 2?
Swinny,
Oh my god, play it.
I am the
Play
perfect
it.
example of what you're saying is wrong because I never heard of CD Projekt Red until Witcher 3.
I
So
never
when
heard
you
of
go-
Minecraft until we had this conversation. Yet here we are.
Intergot. I'm not gonna play the card that I should because I respect you too much.
No, you
we
don't.
were made way more into games than you at that time in 2011.
No, but that's my point,
Yeah,
Swinny.
we were hooked on them.
I'm not talking about hardcore gamers like you guys at that time. I'm talking about, you said it was a household name.
this
Okay,
game.
was LA
this
Noire
game
a
made
household
them
name?
Minecraft is a
name.
household name.
No.
You know, Dark Souls became a household name. There's
It's
no way
it's
The
a
Witcher 2
matter.
is a household name.
It's a matter
was a
of
household
saying.
name.
When I say that, I mean in the industry. Okay, I'm not
say-
talking
say
about.
it right
I'm not
then.
talking about Joe
Say
on
it
the
right.
street. It made
Say,
them a
yeah,
household
known in the
name.
industry then. It
Yes,
became
okay,
known in the industry.
sheesh,
That's
it's
better.
ridiculous. I have to clarify that. The Witcher 2 made CD Projekt Red, and they knocked it out of the park. Witcher 3, right? That's the.
Yeah.
I'm deleting it. I'm deleting it.
No.
No, you're not. No. There's other games that can be culled before that.
Well,
All right, well,
maybe not
do you want-
because they're all kind of on a balanced
No,
thing at
but
the moment.
like
Wait,
for,
hang
for
on,
example,
hang
I'm
on.
happy to cull Battlefield 3 before I will cull anything like The Witcher.
Well, can I
So-
just say, are we saying some of the safe ones? So Dark Souls is safe.
Dark Souls.
I
is
think so.
absolutely
Yeah,
safe.
that's
Deus
the-
Ex is safe. I'm happy to. That was in my
Yeah.
top 9.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'd probably said safe.
Skyrim is
Yep.
safe for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely safe.
So
yeah.
that's 3. of them.
Well, shit, that's pretty much it, actually, when I was going through it. So we've got, okay, let's just park those ones. So we've
Cool.
got 5. And of the 5, we need 3.
So we only need to cull 2. So I think we're in a good
Yeah,
position.
we only need to cull 2. So I think
Yeah,
we
this
should
is
cull
not gonna be
Super Mario
easy.
3D Land.
Nah, no way,
All right.
man. No
So
way.
can I?
Swinny?
So I've let me talk about Battlefield 3 for a second. So Battlefield 3, I think we will cull because Mike just also said it. But
All right, let's get rid of it.
no, let me just mention it first. So Battlefield 3
Trilogy.
was number 6 on my list in my
Yeah.
ranking, and I didn't think about. But this is the game I was talking about with Portal 2. Is that I'd kind of forgotten how important and how fantastic Battlefield 3 was. That game, we all played it, as in Mike and a bunch of our other friends. Obviously, Intergot, you weren't playing it, but that was a phenomenon for us at the time. It was just such Battlefield 3 was amazing. And when I think about the fun that I had with that game, I had to put it up higher because when we actually went through the shortlist, I've kind of forgotten how great that game was. But I think that just in the realm of these other games, I just think we need to appreciate the other ones more. So I think we cull it.
Yep, nice eulogy.
Yeah,
Nice
I'm
eulogy.
going to go. Let's cull it.
It's
Yep.
gone. All right, so we've only got one game to eliminate. So do you want me to do another stock
And
take?
that's Minecraft.
So I'll do another stock take.
You know what's
So we've
Minecraft?
got-
Because Mike didn't have his vote on that.
No, hang on.
To
Don't,
begin with.
don't try to you know,
No.
railroad us here, Swinny. Don't try to railroad us. So we've got Dark Souls, Deus Ex, Human Revolution, Skyrim, LA Noire, Minecraft, Super Mario, 3D Land, and The Witcher 2. It's clearly inferior to The Witcher 3 as our 7 that we need to
You
bring down
haven't
to
even
6.
played it. How can you say that?
Wow.
You know what would be funny?
Who's the arrogant smug one now?
No, you know what's annoying? Because like I am committed that obviously once we get down to the 6, I'll play every single one and complete it. And
Yeah.
Witcher
Yeah,
2, I
complete
never
Minecraft.
anticipated. You can complete it.
I know you can complete it, but I
Witcher
want to see you
2
complete it.
I will. It'll be fine. Witcher
Okay.
2 is not ever been on my radar to complete. So maybe
Okay.
I'm just more angry. It'd be funny if I said that's the game of the year. In the end, that would be really funny. All right. So
Once you see them tristies, you're gonna change your
Jesus
mind.
Christ.
oh, Jesus, Mike.
What?
All right, let's move on. So we've got 4 games.
I want to cull that just because of that. No, not yet.
So we've got 4.
Oh my
We've got 4 that needs to turn into 3. So we've got LA Noire, Minecraft, Super Mario 3D Land, and The Witcher 2
All right, I'm going to make a case for Mario 3D Land.
to stay.
To stay or leave?
Yeah, to stay. So
No, that's fine. Keep it. I'm happy for you to
no, I
make
just
the
want to
case.
talk.
but
I
you can
want to
keep
talk
it.
about it.
I like
wanna
how
talk about it.
Mike has no sense of entertainment. You're
know.
like building something up, and then he's just like, "Nah, keep it, F it, I don't
Keep it.
care."
It's fine.
T word, whatever.
So I had never properly played Mario 3D Land until the past fortnight, and now I see why everyone says that's such a good game.
It's a great game.
It is the level design. Like when you played the first couple of levels, like, oh yeah, it's neat, and then you start getting into the cool levels, and you're like, whoa, they were doing some really cool stuff. And I'm not experiencing this in 3D. I can only imagine how cool it would have been in 3D.
Well, that's what I wanted to say, because like you did try your best to get this on a console. You could play it in 3D, although you have a 2DS. So
I've
no,
got a
you couldn't.
2DS, so I would never have been able to play it in 3D. Yeah.
But anyway,
3D.
like I've played this in 3D, and this is the only game on the 3DS where I feel you have to play it in 3D. It's so incredible what they add to it, and it is to me Microsoft. It's Nintendo firing on all cylinders, where they have a gimmick, and they love gimmicks. Nintendo, they have this 3D gimmick, and they've really worked out a way to add to the game with the 3D, and it's awesome the way that they've implemented it, and the way that you feel depth, and that's why you always have those real overhead shots in the game. And then it ended up spawning Super Mario 3D World, which is like almost like a pseudo port, enhanced 1.5 version of it, which is a great game as well, and that's coming out in the next few weeks. Or
So-
next Friday, actually. I'm grabbing
The other
it,
thing
so-
about 3D Land was that to me, it revitalized Mario, because if you think about it, after Odyssey 2, you had the new Super Mario Brothers games, and I've
I
never
mean
liked
Galaxy 2, but yeah, go on.
Galaxy 2, sorry. I never liked those games really at all, and 3D Land
The
is
new
like,
Super Mario Bros.
yes, new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yeah, I've played every single one of them and finished every single one, and I never have loved any of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, to me, it's like then suddenly, okay, this, and I didn't play it at the time. If I played it at the time, that would have been like, oh, thank you for
Yeah,
making another
yeah.
great Mario game. So that's my case. If Mike agrees, then that goes to the.
Oh,
goes
I
to that
totally
definite
agree.
ones.
I never. Well, actually, I think I may have started playing it back when I had a 3DS, but I do think it's one of those. Just because I haven't played it doesn't make it an amazing game. So
Well, you'll have to play it if
I'm
it's on the list.
totally. Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to it based on.
All
what you
right,
guys
well,
have
we're
said.
adding that. So that's going to go in the Sacred 4.
Yep.
Sacred 4 protected games. All right, so
Really, it feels like
we are
what's
down
left-
to 2 spots with 3 games left. So it's LA
Yeah.
Noire, Minecraft, and Witcher 2.
Minecraft.
Look, I have to concede defeat. There's no way I'm going to move you guys off Witcher 2
Wait, no,
over these games.
I don't think that's not the case.
Oh, good.
Nah,
If I-
Can
it's
I
not
make the case for
moving me.
Minecraft? Can I make the case for Minecraft?
Yeah.
No, I just want to before we get to Minecraft, because I think
Also, the answer's no.
no. I'm just thinking between the LA Noire and The Witcher 2 is, if I think of a game that Intergot's probably going to like the most and probably be a better representation of all of us in the podcast and our top 6 nominees, I definitely think you'll prefer LA Noire. So
Of course.
if that forces you to play the games, I think you're going to have a better time to play through LA Noire than The Witcher 2 if that's what we're doing. And I think it's honestly,
I don't think that's not the point. That's not the point.
no, but I'm just trying to think of what. To me, it's actually hard to choose between these. So if I'm thinking of
Was
what
it
is
a better game to you though?
it's tough to say. Like, I love The Witcher 2, but I'm also an RPG fan, so I'm naturally going to gravitate to that kind of gameplay. LA Noire is more of a cinematic detective experience. It's not an action game, really. There's a couple of moments where it's like you'll do that stuff, but you can literally skip it if you don't like it. It's usually just tail this person. But as a narrative piece and as just an innovation in gaming, obviously Minecraft is probably going to take the top spot in any innovation discussion. I think LA Noire probably just gets in over Witcher 2.
See, I think the opposite. So my case for Witcher 2 is obviously a personal opinion, which is I played both LA Noire and The Witcher 2, but the major difference between the two is I kept wanting to play The Witcher 2.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
And I kept wanting to see what happens and make the choices, and I found it a much more enjoyable experience and an experience that I wanted to get to the end of. Whereas with LA Noire, I just remember at a certain point just putting it down. It just I wasn't having fun with it as much as I thought I would. So that's the only reason I my perspective would be The Witcher 2, just because personally it just drove me to finish it more than the other one did.
Because I will say, I think Minecraft deserves to be in the 6.
Oh,
No, I think it does. I
thank
absolutely think
God.
it does as well. So
I
it really
thought I was gonna
becomes
have to mount this huge argument as to why you guys are nuts for not having Minecraft.
It just becomes I think a debate between LA Noire and The Witcher 2.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank God. Like I'll drag Minecraft.
Here's
across.
the thing. Here's the thing.
No,
Well,
no,
actually,
no.
no.
It's between Witcher 2 now and LA Noire.
Here's my problem as well. To Swinny's point, I actually want to go back and play both of them.
Well, you can.
And
that's what this shortlist was meant to
Nothing's
do.
stopping me from doing it. But the point is, if we remove one of them from the shortlist, there'll be less of an impetus to go play that game. So I'm like, well, do I want to put
You can play LA Noire on the
there
Switch.
just exactly?
Mike,
do I put it there just because I want to play it?
I would suggest LA Noire
That-
because you haven't played through the whole game.
I know,
and you can play it
but
on
then,
the Switch.
But
All
then
right,
I feel
I
like
think we
it's
choose-
not. It's not a true representation of what I feel is the game that deserves to be on the list for 2011. The counter argument is to my argument. So I'm counter arguing my own argument. So the counter argument to my own argument is the fact that I've already played The Witcher 2, and there's no way in hell it's going to make it as number one.
Oh, see, I
So
like that. I like
you
that.
see my logic, right?
I
So I
like
might as
that.
well
I
take
like
it
that.
out, keep LA Noire in, because I know it's not going to win anyway, but I might as well, have it in the list so I can play it. So
It could win. It could win.
it could. I just think it's highly unlikely. Whereas The Witcher 2, there's no way it's going to win. So by that reasoning, if that logic makes any sort of sense, I would go with LA Noire, even though I don't think it's the game that should be on the list.
I lost track of you 5 minutes ago.
All I'm saying is...
We're getting an insight as to how...
I'm not going to recap the
think.
logic of my brain, but basically, I don't think... So there's no point having The Witcher 2 in there.
It was
if
a
I
joke,
know
by the
that-
way. I wasn't getting you to repeat
Okay.
it.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't.
Okay, so I think
So
I think we go for LA Noire.
Well,
I think we should go LA Noire, yes.
And
And I love The
Witcher
Witcher 2.
2's out.
I love The Witcher 2, but I think we go
Yeah.
for LA Noire.
but
I'm
as,
sorry,
as
baby,
happy
you're out.
as happy as I am, if that's the case, but I want this to be a
What?
proper
What?
list.
Just Intergot, why are you so against The Witcher 2? Like, you've got this
Yeah.
agenda against it that I don't
No, no, I
understand.
don't. I actually
it's like
own
you
the
got
game.
some sort of hidden agenda.
No, I own the game, and I'm like
You should
so
play
so
it.
debating playing it first rather than Witcher 3 because I feel like if I play Witcher 3, it might be pretty hard to go back to
No,
Witcher
but
2.
I'm just like, I actually played it after playing Witcher 3 as well.
Well, I thought you said it was such a big game. You must have played it at the time.
No,
I only played it twice.
No, so I
Well, more
went
than
back
twice,
and
probably.
replayed it after.
Oh,
Witcher
okay,
3,
damn it.
Because I completed that.
I think it's...
I
You phrase
completed that
things so
game. I
terribly
completed that
sometimes.
game like 3 times with different achievement lists. But anyway,
Sure.
The Witcher 2 is a fantastic game, and I think, at the time, it actually got a lot of critical praise, and it put them on the map. And I think that, it's just because The Witcher 3 was such a phenomenon that people, especially people that kind of, may not have been, heavily into games at the time, have kind of forgotten that Witcher 2 was actually quite a hit for them. So especially
And-
when they ported it to console the next year. So
I'm going to be the contrarian here to also say that I actually think I enjoyed The Witcher 2 more than I enjoyed Witcher 3. Which, by the way, to this day, I have not finished. Spent hundreds of hours, have not
there's
finished.
parts of Witcher
That's
2
not
that I
smart.
definitely I love more. But I think LA Noire deserves to be in the top 6 myself.
Yep. Put it in. Looking forward to playing it.
Well, but it's not about just people playing it. That's why.
No,
it's
I
in the
know
top
that.
six.
That's why I gave you my logical breakdown of why I had
Illogical
to-
breakdown. Yeah, correct.
my illogical logical breakdown of why I had to take The Witcher 2 out.
All right, so we're taking it out.
Yep. Take it out, Eddie.
Okay. All right, so that's the 6. So I'll just clean this up a little bit.
By the way, while you're doing that, do you want to know what was number 20 on my ranked list?
What?
Well, take
Well, I don't think I ranked all of those.
Forza 4. Because I never played it, and it's a card game. It was
fair enough.
followed quickly by the Old Republic, because it's an MMO.
It's a very-
'Cause it's an
it's-
MMO, and I never played it.
Look,
Yeah,
it's not...
I had to rank the Old Republic pretty low as well. I played it and I didn't really enjoy it.
Look, similar with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like that is higher up on my list. But again, there's games where it's like, okay, of those games, we wanted to also acknowledge the 20 best games of the year for our shortlist. You know, we knew they're
Yeah.
never going to make it further. But
Yeah. All right.
And
so
they're all, oh my god, they're all great games in their own right. So
all right, what's
Well,
the
yeah,
six?
this-
What's the six?
you need to narrow it down. You know,
this is like
You've
a
got-
crazy, crazy year. I don't think we'll potentially ever have a battle like this for a top
probably not.
6.
No.
So game of some other year, 2011. The nominees are Dark Souls, Deus Ex Human Revolution, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, LA Noire, Minecraft, and Super Mario 3D Land. That's a crazy list.
That's a good list. I'm glad 3D Land made it on.
I'm glad as well. I really wanted Zelda to make it, but I knew there was zero chance if you didn't put Zelda on there. And then I was like, oh, that's dead now.
Mario Kart 7 was great as well when I played that.
Yeah, Mario Kart 7 was in my, whatever it was, like top 9, I think it was. Like I was really close to putting Human Revolution in.
Shadows of the Damned got number 10 for me as well, but that was obviously never going to make it. So
What was number 10?
Shadows of the Damned.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Hey, question now with the top 6. Do we need to play the ones that we've already played, or is it just the ones we haven't played or haven't played?
can always
You
have
do
a
you,
refresher.
man. You do you.
You can do a
Yeah, I don't-
refresher if you want.
I'm so scared.
I
of
might
starting Skyrim
refresh myself
again.
on Dark Souls.
Yeah, for the 5th time this week. I don't want to refresh myself on Skyrim, although I should probably go back to the one on the Switch and actually finish the main story.
Honestly, I think you guys should actually complete Skyrim because there's
I
going
know we
to
should.
be a lot
I've
to talk
put-
about with Skyrim. So
I kid you not. I reckon I put across the multiple platforms. I must have put at least 300 hours in that game. And in my latest instance, where I'll have to check, it's got to be 100 hours in that one. I think the Greybeards are still waiting for me.
I think you said
on
that
top of
last time.
mountain.
So
Yeah, you said that last time. That's boring.
So no, but what I'm saying is that I'm sorry
God.
to repeat. Well, okay, repeat for you guys,
Boring.
not repeat for our 3 new
I'm
listeners.
just giving you crap.
So-
Let's go.
So, yeah, I think, look, like as I said, we're going to cover each of these games in a special segment in shows over the coming months, I guess, or month. Well, no, it'd be months, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we can do 2 a week. I don't know. We'll see.
No, no way, man. No way. No, we'll just do one at a time. But I think the reality
Sorry, do we
is-
want to? Sorry, do we? So we want to just cover one game in depth each.
Yeah.
Each episode.
We'll
Cool.
talk about the details after the show.
Yeah, we'll announce
Yep,
it.
yep,
We'll,
yep,
but yeah, we'll announce it the week prior before we cover any of the games.
Yep.
But I do think Skyrim and Dark Souls are probably going to be the ones back-ended. Oh, maybe Skyrim's the only one that's back-ended because that's going to take me a while to get through because I do want to finish the main campaign there.
I'm happy
Although
to
that's
do, I'm
not too
happy to
long.
do that last.
Yeah, that's a huge game compared to the other games. Like they're all big, but they're big in different ways. So it's exciting. Like I kind of feel like I get a sense for what my top 3 would be really interesting. Top 3 is like I really don't know where that will shake out.
I can name them right now.
Dead Island.
Unless
Dead Island. Dead Island, Dead
Gotta
Island,
take
Dead
it out,
Island.
damn it. Dead
right,
Island, Dead Island Riptide.
All right.
We've been running long, so let's wrap the show up now. Or as always, like if you want to help the show out, make sure you give us a like or subscribe or 5-star rating at your podcast service of choice. But probably the best thing you could do is recommend the show to a friend. And with that, bye-bye.
Ciao.